The Queen's Coronation. 10. It's over. The tigress hurriedly grabs onto her own chest as the wildly thumping heart goes wild inside. Mistress, I thought you were beautiful enough as it is. To think you could one-up yourself like that. Forget about the king. I think I'm falling in love with you as well. Huang Xiaoying. Di Xiaowan literally jumped with steam after hearing what the shameless tigress said there. I had you protect my sister-in-law, not hook up with her. If you ever say something like that again, then watch me tell my brother. After giving a hard stare at her competition, the demon princess then burst into amazement after turning to Bai Yan. Huh? Aren't the feathers on your wedding dress from Suzaku? It can't be. Did my brother pluck her naked to make you this gown? In the mind of this bratty princess, the picture of a butt-naked vermilion bird lingers and causes her eyes to show a glint of sympathy. Mother is so beautiful. Bai Xiachen then throws himself into Bai Yan's arm, making a cute face with bright enamored eyes. Now I don't want to let such a beautiful mother marry batty father anymore. Bai Yan simply chuckles at her son's remark, pinching that cheek to show her love. You are so young still. How can you distinguish between beauty and ugliness? In my heart, mother will always be the #1 beauty in this world, no matter the occasion. To show his affection even further, the kid uses those 2 tiny arms of his to wrap around Bai Yan's thigh like a clingy boy that doesn't want to let go. And sure enough, the act only brought on a sweet sugary feeling into the bride's heart. Bending down, she gives the boy a lovely peck on the cheek. My Xiachen is the cutest and most well-behaved boy in the world as well. Taking this all in from the side, Dragoni was oh so jealous right now as she bit her thumb. Come here, little Dragoni. Waving the missy over, Bai Yan smiles warmly after seeing the envy in those eyes. Running over fast, the girl's pupil carried no blemish like a pure and clean pool of water. Queen, you are really beautiful. More beautiful than anyone I have ever seen. You are so sweet, Dragoni. Picking her up, Bai Yan also sends a peck onto the dragon girl's cheek. I have always been very good, never causing trouble. Queen, will you always like me like you do now? I'm sad that the elders and my parents just suddenly didn't like me anymore. Puckering those lips like someone facing grievance. Her eyes are obviously being covered up in a layer of tears. She may not be the brightest bird around. Even so, that doesn't mean her heart couldn't feel the attitude coming out of those people. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. As long as you behave like you do now, then I will always like you. Bai Yan literally felt her heart clenching up in pain over that question. Really? Lighting up in her face, Dragoni looked absolutely adorable in that appearance. Queen, you treat the best. I promise I will be very, very good and not cause trouble for you. Sister-in-law? Moping in her demeanor, Di Xiaowan was all sour inside. You never been that good to me though. Raising a brow, Bai Yan makes a teasing smile at that. Then you don't have to hide behind me when Di Song comes to make trouble for you? Upon hearing this, Di Xiaowan immediately shuddered in horror before she realizes her own folly, making the most flattering smile she could muster. Sister-in-law, you are the best person in the world. Whoever dares to say you are not good, then I'm going to knock them off their socks. The Queen's Coronation 11. Huang Xiaoying just hated the bootlicking image of her friend there, making a disdainful grin. Princess, when did you become so hypocritical and without backbone? Unfazed, Di Xiaowan casually shifts her gaze over to fire back a retort. Ho, if you don't want to marry Little Rice, then continue having your backbone. These words were perfectly on target in poking at the tigress's weak spot, jumping up like a frantic feline. Princess, who is accusing you of not being good enough to Her Highness? Tell me now, I will go kill them this instant. Chastity, dignity, backbone, all of it can go to hell. What can be compared to marrying Little Rice? A humph. Queen, it's almost the time of the coronation. We should be setting off now. The female speaks in a respectful manner. Okay. Bai Yan slightly nods in return. It's been hard on you, fourth elder. Instead of getting a gratified smile in return, the female that's known as the fourth elder only showed fright and horror, nearly taking to her knees at that moment. Please, queen, don't say those words to me. You are the queen of the demon realm. Everything I've done so far is within my obligation and duty. Oh, gracious horror! If His Majesty hears of this and mistaken it as me not doing a proper job, then lead the way. Bai Yan helplessly smiles and didn't want to argue on this point. Yes, queen. That finally brought on a sigh of relief to the elder. Wiping the cold sweat from her forehead, she gestures to the door. Sister-in-law, I will support you. Hurrying to chase over like a dog, Di Xiaowan was all smiles then. You nearly scared fourth elder to death there, you know? Bai Yan shrugged. I don't remember saying anything noteworthy or bad. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. That's because my brother is too powerful, causing everyone in the demon realm to fear and respect him. As his wife, you being too gracious might be interpreted as fourth elder not being polite and impatient. It's none of my business on what others think, but your brother, chuckling at the mention of her husband-to-be, I know he will definitely not overthink this, as if I would tolerate anyone that's not polite to me. He knows well enough by now that the only outcome would be me tossing the rude ones out of here. The coronation ceremony of the queen was most definitely a solemn and respected event. As such, it's been decided that the hosting location would be the open-air altar that's usually reserved for great festivities. For this reason, the venue had long been crowded with guests representing the various races. If not for the heavy number of guards stationed around, a riot might have already exploded due to how densely packed the area was. Thankfully, the restlessness didn't last long after this. From above, a rainbow bridge suddenly emerged from the back and front, leaving everyone's eye ingrained with the fabulous picture. Oh wow! To think the Rainbow Bird clan would be mobilized for this coronation. Are they intending to use all of them to act as a bridge? Che, I guess that is the case. That bird family has never been all that strong yet, they're the most arrogant pricks of them all. If not for His Majesty's will, I doubt such a clan would willingly act as someone's stepping floor. I know, right? There's been many rumors lately about the king being extremely fond of the queen, but I didn't think it was to this extent. Now that I'm seeing it firsthand with my own eyes, it seems those rumors aren't rumors at all. Murmurs and gasps were rampant among the guests. They were all blown away by the grand display of this ceremony and grew extremely curious on who could possibly cause such fascination in their king. Want to marry the queen? 1. 2 figures soon came into view of everyone's eye, their image too surreal that it's breathtaking for the audience. One was a boy and the other a woman. The female had a lavish-looking tiara on the head. Matched that with the light coat of powder on her face. It's almost guaranteed to make one lose their breath. And then there's the cute little thing holding the female's hand as well. Instead of looking around at his surroundings like most child of his age would, the kid only had his sight focused on the other end of the bridge like an alarmed puppy trying to protect his possession. One step at a time, the man slowly approaches and eventually brings his bride back to attention from being wowed by his appearance. Yen Yen, from now on you are my wife, my only wife. This will never change. Bai Yan's heart actually shook over that statement. Staring at the peerless man in front of herself, a genuine smile of acceptance escapes her. Fine. However, you are not allowed to betray me in the future, nor are you allowed to hide anything from me. If you must leave me for any duration, then you must tell me ahead of time. Only then will I promise to be your wife. I promise. Raising his hand, Ditsong brings the woman into his fold, allowing their attires to meld together as one and leaving the audience aghast over their perfectness. So this is the queen. She really is as beautiful as they claim. What a perfect match for the king. I know, right? At first I wasn't convinced, but now that I've seen it with my own eyes, I can only give up. The females of the various clans had similar opinions now that they've seen the competition. They aren't going to put up a hopeless fight when the other side was of such high caliber. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Congratulations to the king in marrying the queen. The people underneath all took to their knees, the voice respectful and of one. Rise. The demon lord's voice could only be called lukewarm at best despite this being his wedding day. Thank you, your majesty. Permission given. All of the attendees then rose again with one certain old fella that apparently had more galls than everyone else. I must send my granddaughter to the king's side as his consort. Sire, I have something to... But before his sentence could be finished, the arrogant words of Ditsong cuts in again. Before anything else, I want to announce one thing. Casting his domineering gaze down to his subjects, the overpowering voice of this man rings forth like a spell. When pursuing your queen here, I promised her one thing, and that is one love for one life. So, after this coronation, there will only be one mistress of for home, and that is she. There will be no second. If I find out that someone is trying to send their daughters into my home, then I will have that person come in straight and go back out flat. Boom! The whole crowd literally exploded with discussion right there and then. For those who had secret motives inside, those ideas were naturally squashed right on the spot. King actually abolished the harem? They could do nothing but to look up with disbelief in their eyes at the couple. Didn't he bloom? How can this be? Any man who becomes acquainted with the matters of man and woman always look for more to serve them. This doesn't match the script. Furthermore, when have humankind been able to endure the energetic bodies of us demons? They always break after a few runs at night. The queen should be no different. Want to marry the queen, too? In addition, Ditsong issues a sinister chuckle. In order to prevent you bunch from causing any troublesome pain for my wife, those that does the proposal will also face the same crime and be punished by death. The old man who was trying to make the request subconsciously stepped back a few steps after hearing the words from his king. He wanted to hide that head until his existence disappeared altogether. That brings the end to my announcement, said Ditsong, who coldly swept his gaze over to the old man then. What did you want to say earlier? Don't joke around. The king has already spoken. Whoever raises the matter is equally dead, so why would I still want to send my granddaughter into the palace? If nothing else, all of you can retire after giving your greeting to your queen and prince. As for the gifts, smiling menacingly despite not even trying, I will have my men go collect it from your stations. There's no need to continue bothering my wife. Wiping some of those cold sweat away, the old man takes a quick bow in a deflated manner. I, chieftain of the Wolf clan, pays my greeting to the queen and crown prince. Using this as the signal, the rest of the other clans also bowed in unison in worship of Bai Yen and Bai Shachen. Their expressions were all very serious and sincere, the only exception being Huang Xiaoying, who was acting a tad out of line by rubbing her shoulder against the old grandma beside herself. Grandma, do you see over there? Right there is your future grandson-in-law in the prince's arm. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases without disappointment. The old lady's eyes promptly lit up after seeing the white tiger snoozing in by Shachen's arms. Talk about smiling straight from the heart. Very good, as expected of my future grandson-in-law. Look at that nose, those eyes, talk about handsome. My granddaughter has good eyesights in picking such an outstanding tiger. Now that instantly brought on a black face for the tiger chief in question. He's been listening on everything. How can this little guy be handsome when he can't even take on his human form? Really, what is mother seeing? Grandma, I also think I have very good eyesights. She smiles all proudly before her family. He will become your true grandson-in-law in no time at all, that I promise. That's good then. I'm loving this little guy just by looking at him. Unlike your ugly old pops who only knows how to annoy me at every possible opportunity. Oh right, don't tell your father about this. Keep this between us both only. Don't worry, Grandma. I will certainly not tell father. He's not only stingy and short-sighted, he's also easy to get angry. Despite being only a few feet away from his family, the tiger chief obviously didn't hold much existence between these two scams of a mother and daughter of his. How can you two talk bad about me right in front of my face? Furthermore, can you two at least acknowledge my existence? Oh, my heart. It hurts. Hurts. Compared with the emotional excitement of everyone attending today, Long Chong Tian's heart was obviously not feeling very good right now. His dragon family had always been a supreme existence within the demon realm, meaning he has no fear of the other inferior races. So, The fact that the female standing beside the king wasn't his daughter definitely brought on some discontent within the dragon man's heart. But that quickly changed when his eyes fell upon Dragonis' existence. The little missy was following in Bai Yan's tail. Oh right, I still have one thing to announce. Bai Yan pushes her disgruntled husband aside and pulled her new friend to the front. Is the chief of the dragon clan present? Though startled at first over the summoning, Long Chong Tian nevertheless hurried to step forward. Is there anything my queen needs of me? Want to marry the queen? 3. I don't know if the people in the palace have notified you yet, but I will say it again. After this, I will be taking Dragoni with me. If the members of the dragon clan wishes to see her again, I will have my people escort her back for a visit. Turning her lips into a sneering grin of contempt, Bai Yan gazes down at the dragon chief with clear disdain in those eyes. Just that if I find another scar on Dragonis' body after the visits, I will have the soldiers rain down at your doorsteps as a consequence. Long Chong Tian honestly didn't expect such an open threat. Popping those eyes in shock, the man looks up with incredulous disbelief. I don't agree. Zhang Rookie abruptly jerks up from the ground in protest. Dragoni is my daughter. I don't want her to leave me. I can never allow this little fool the chance to surpass Xiaoya. Rui, the dragon chief roars out at his wife in fright. Get down on your knees this instant. Giving a damp look at this so-called mother, Bai Yan then shifts her attention back to the little missy instead. Dragoni, tell me, how does your mother usually treat you? Making an innocent look like that of someone oblivious to the situation, the young girl did as told. My mother dislikes it when I call her mother, that's why I can only call her madam at home. They would also often yell and hit me, calling me little fool. One time I stole second sister's pastry to eat, because I really wanted to have a taste. That's when she used hot water to burn me. Whenever Dragoni brought up all the cases from her past, the voices of the guests would diminish by another level until only the crisp sound of the young lady could be heard. Of course, Zhang Rui would be livid at having her misdeeds pointed out in open public. Hence the blue and white color on that face. How dare she embarrass me in the public? Did she forget who gave birth to her? As for the rest of the audience, many were now showing disdain, with a much larger portion making angry glares at the dragon chief and his wife. They knew Dragoni was a mentally challenged girl inside, but that doesn't excuse the poor treatment these parents are giving her. No one likes to hear such sad stories, especially during auspicious events like the Queen's coronation. Dragon Chief. Finally someone couldn't hold back and spoke up. Is this lady really your daughter's mother? Or is she a new wife you took in? Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. I say, this is the first time I've seen a mother treat their own flesh and blood like so. This really opens up my eyes today. The ridiculing voices of his peers had left the dragon chief utterly embarrassed, with nowhere to hide his face. Rui, if you keep making trouble here, then I will divorce you once we go back. Long Chong Tian fires off a stare of death at his wife. Though unwilling, the dragon wife was now left in a pinch and knew better than to resist. For that reason, Bai Yan saw it as an opening to continue. Tell me, would you like to go with them, Dragoni? No, I don't want to. The young missy heavily grasped onto her savior's arm, refusing to let go. Queen, I like you. Please let me stay with you and not them. Who said Dragoni was stupid? She understands enough to know who's the best for herself. As for the dragon clan that gave birth to her, there's only torture awaiting there if she returns. Okay? Smiling gently, Bai Yan slowly caresses the girl's hair to soothe that anxiety. You don't need to go anywhere. From now on you can stay with me and Xiachen. Want to marry the queen for... Giving a stern look at the little missy, Bai Xiachen's grumpy appearance eventually subsides to that of forgiveness. Humph, fine. I won't cause her trouble for trying to take some of mother's attention, since I feel so sorry for her. Lastly, I have some final words for you all. All smiles still. Bai Yan lets go of Dragoni's hand to confront the gazes from everyone down below. In the demon realm, there will be no distinctions between the high and low. I don't care whether you are the dragons or other races. Those who touch the ones under my protection can expect my fury to rain down from above. Long Chong Tian remains silent during all of this, with only his eyes making a strange light as Dragoni's image reflected in those pupils. Furthermore, Dragoni is only a late bloomer. She is not stupid. No one can insult her as a fool. If I catch wind of this again, then you know your ending. Not everyone may be able to perceive the late bloomer phrase, however. They most definitely understood the threat in the latter part of Bai Yan's sentence. Being enemies with her is the same as being the enemy of the king. As if we are that stupid to shorten our own lifespan. Grinning right up to his nose now, Di Tsong was enjoying every aspect of his wife's dominance to the point where he couldn't resist making a grab for her body. Sweeping his fingers across that fine silky hair, the man's demeanor could only be called spoiled. Do you all understand that? My wife's word is the same as mine. Likely the result of the Demon King's appearance. None were able to protest the idea. In fact, their heads were now lowered than ever before, like they are confronting two Demon Kings instead of a queen. Yen, we are wasting too much time here, we should. It's our wedding night. Bai Yan's heart trembled over that last bit. Since that day in the field of flowers, she had more than once tried to go through a union with Di Tsong. Sadly, whenever they did so, the same scenes from the battlefield would emerge again, causing the happy occasion to cut off repeatedly. Don't worry, I only want to hold you during our sleep. Moving his fingers away from the hair and onto that chin, Di Tsong's touch brought a fuzzy tingle to the woman in his possession. If you don't want it yet, then I won't force you. Di Tsong, I remember you've always wanted to force your way with me to get revenge for that day. Did you not? Smirking mischievously, the woman's eyes reflected a light like that of a predator wanting seconds. Going black in the face, the man knew he just got one-upped by his wife. I did want to take revenge, just that I didn't expect to have my heart smitten by your existence. As if revenge for that day could compare with my desire for you. Suddenly, a soft peck from a lovely set of lips had landed on the man's own, causing him to grin stupidly while the female smiles with satisfaction. He is always so overbearing at times, but he can be so sweet during moments like these. I just hope he won't let me down. Taking the interaction between this perfect couple, Dragoni grew jealous with that yearning face. I also want to give Queen a kiss. That instantly brought on a wave of darkness to Bai Shachen's face. That's my mother. My mother. I'm already turning a blind eye to you, trying to take some of her attention away from me. Now you want to kiss her? I won't allow it. Smooch. Then, before the little rascal could protest any further, a pair of soft, tender lips had come flying over at his own. And of course, the flushed appearance the baby boy made next was that of anger and not shyness. This little girl actually dared to kiss me? But the most annoying part for the kid was what came afterwards. I saw Queen kiss your cheeks earlier. That makes my kiss equivalent to giving Queen a kiss through you. Bursting forth the most brilliant smile she could muster, Dragoni's appearance clearly told the story of she not understanding the fault in her behavior. Want to marry the Queen? 5. PFFF. Bai Yan finally couldn't hold back her laughter now that she's been privy to this hilarious exchange between her son and the little missy. Shaking slightly from the funny mood, it's good to let Xiachen have a playmate. This way he will have someone to accompany him. I'm liking this little girl more and more. Mother. Turning around with grievance in his eyes, Bai Xiachen openly pleads for help. Can you not let this little girl get close to me? She is scary. No. Di Tsong harshly cuts down the idea. I have something to do with your mother, so you are in charge of taking care of her. Bai Shachen's small little face instantly went rock hard in terms of stiffness. He wanted to refuse right away. Unfortunately, Di Tsong's action was faster. In a blink of an eye, the two dashing figures were gone and out of the crowd's sight. Mother, you really don't love me anymore after Mary Batty Father. Biting the corner of his sleeve in discontent, the boy tears up like an abandoned puppy. Hoo-hoo, Mother would never leave me behind back then. But now she's done it many times already. Poor little Xiachen. Di Xiaowan wipes the droplet of tear from her eyes like a saddened auntie. You need to understand that no one can stop your father from taking someone away if he forces it. That applies to your mother as well. Tilting his cute little head, the baby boy now got it. In that case, all of this is Batty Father's fault? Yes, it is his fault. The demon princess nods in earnest. He is strong. That's why your mother could only go with him. That's right. Batty father must be jealous of me being lovely and cute. That's why he would always deliberately toss me aside. The more this kid's mind went down this path, the more right he felt that to be the case. Making an indignant face. Humph. I won't help him in the future again anymore, regardless of whatever good words he says to me. I like to see him leave me behind then. A humph. The state teacher had only just arrived from behind Di Xiao Wan's back when he heard this exchange. Is it all right for you to frame your brother like this? The man makes a helpless smile from behind. As for Di Xiao Wan, she naturally knew what the state teacher thought. Nevertheless, that doesn't stop her from sticking that naughty tongue out to gloat. Who asked brother to bully me? Now that I've helped him get sister-in-law home, it's time I get some payback. What are you coming here for? Seeing the dragon chief coming over after venting his steam, Bai Shachen promptly spread his arms out to block off the person. My mother said it already. Dragoni is not going back with you. Showing an awkward face, Long Chong Tian meekly answers, I only want to have a private conversation with my daughter. I didn't intend to take her away. I don't believe it. The boy purses his lip, not believing an ounce of that as he cast a signaling stare at the woman further in the back. This woman bullied little Dragoni so often. I'm not going to believe you and throw her back into the fire. Wrinkling his brow at the realization, Long Chong Tian immediately turned around using his harsh glare. Rui, you stay here and don't follow me. After dropping this order to his wife, the dragon chief then turns back to the little prince using the most respectful tone he could make. Your Highness, I really only wanted to have a private conversation with my daughter. If you are worried, I can leave this evil woman here. Is that good? The baby boy didn't answer, only giving a momentary silence in return as he accessed the situation. According to his view, there's no malice or evil coming off of this Long Chong Tian, so Shachen, hold on. Stepping in now, Di Xiao Wan figured it's best she took over. What can't you say in front of us that you must speak in private? This? Hesitating for the longest time, Long Chong Tian sounded troubled. My daughter's behavior earlier was a bit too over the top. That's why I wanted to correct her while away from His Highness's presence. Want to marry the Queen 6. As dubious as she was over that statement, Di Xiao Wan could find no fault in Long Chong Tian's answer. As such, she could only give a nod. Then go, I will give you half an hour and no later. When she returns, I want to see the girl in pristine condition. Auntie? Bai Shachen's cheek puffs up. My father and mother had me watch over this girl. If she's bullied, as if he would dare. The demon princess openly sneers. If he does dare to bully Dragoni, then he better be prepared for the soldiers to rain down from above his head. This Long Chong Tian isn't that stupid. Even if he does, it won't be happening inside the palace. Dragoni, you go ahead. Patting the little missy's shoulder, Di Xiao Wan indicates it's safe to move forward. Make sure to come back soon. Okay. Curving into a squint in those eyes, Dragoni's face was all cheers as she greeted her old man. Father, come my daughter. Pressing down the touch of darkness in his eyes, Long Chong Tian smiles warmly as he led the clueless girl to the back end of the open-air altar. But once out of sight and alone, the fatherly aura that this dragon chief portrayed was all-inclusively gone. All that remains now in this person was a stern look of someone ready to give an order. Papa? Asked Dragoni, who was still unclear on the danger she's in. Do you have something to say to me? Dragoni, listen. Long Chong Tian presses down on those small shoulders, his tone severe and serious. Your sister has failed. From now on, the pride and image of our clan lies in your hands. Staring up in surprise, Papa, I don't understand what you mean. I'll get straight to the point. I want you to marry the king. You can now get close to the queen. That means only you can become a maid of the White Moon Palace. But the girl's little face devolved into a look of unwilling grievance. I don't like the king. I like the queen. Can I marry Her Highness the Queen instead? Long Chong Tian was actually at a loss for words there. He forgot this daughter of his wasn't normal and could hardly make out the meaning of marriage. But time's of the essence, he doesn't have room to explain slowly. You must become the king's woman, just like the queen of today. This is the order I'm giving you. Can you understand? I don't. Dragoni shuddered at the commanding tone and took a step back, her eyes filled with tears. I don't want to be around the king. I only like the queen. If you don't want to marry the king, then the little prince can do too. Didn't you just? Growing anxious now, Long Chong Tion's expression was quickly turning ugly. When did this girl become so disobedient? But Papa, I only like the queen. I just want to marry her. I don't want anyone else. Hoo-hoo. Fully crying, Dragoni's whole body was now a shivering mess. Today's Papa is so scary. Why must he make me marry the king or prince? I don't want to. Dragoni. The dragon chief grew infuriated and violently grasped onto the girl's shoulder, thus causing enough pain to make his daughter wail out in grief. I'm sorry, Dragoni, it was my fault. I got too anxious. Hurry and let me see your shoulder. He raised his hand and wanted to check, but before he could do so, the sobbing girl actually retaliated by pushing him away in one forceful swing. Where did this one get such strength from? Shock and disbelief filled the man's eye as he took in what just occurred. You are a bad guy. I hate you the most. Don't touch me. I am going to find the queen. Dragoni face now displays open anger as the 2 lines of tears covered up that delicate face. Want to marry the queen? 7. Before, she would never cry regardless of what her sister Long Xiaoya did to her. However, this time Dragoni could no longer hold back at being hollered by her own father. Dragoni, don't go. Long Chong Tian hurried to climb back up from the ground in order to stop the girl from leaving. Don't go. If you do, then I will lose my life. You stay away. Once again pushing the man to the ground, the little missy's complexion was a flush beet red. I'm not going to leave the queen to follow the king. You are a big baddie. I'm not going to trust you anymore. Oomph. Coughing over that sudden force to his stomach, Long Chong Tian's face was a ghastly white. He knows full well if this ends up in the queen's ear, then he be doomed. Dragoni, I am your father. You can't let the queen know about this. If you do, then I will be killed for sure. How can you bear to see your own father die because of you? The dragon chief was no panicking. He honestly didn't know this daughter of his could be so ruthless. What's more, when did she learn to make a complaint? You think I'm stupid. You all think I'm stupid. Yes, I am not very bright, but you always knew second sister didn't like me and would often bully me. And what did you do? You would have me not appear in front of her because of that reason. Devolving into a pitiful whimper, tears began to flow out of the girl's eye sockets like a waterfall. But I still used to like you before, all because you never scolded me like mother did and call me little fool. The queen is very good to me. She tells me stories and feeds me jelly beans. She said that the jelly beans will make me smart. You see, I can walk on my own now. Long Chong Tian was stunned. Taking a moment to take this statement in, he finally discovered that Dragoni no longer needed someone to help support her for walking. My daughter is finally starting to grow up? No wonder, now it makes sense on why she would say such words to me. If it was in the past, this daughter would only obey. Dragoni, seeing his daughters about to leave again for real, Long Chong Tian wanted to stop this before it's too late. Unfortunately for him, though, the commotion had caught the attention of those outside, and that's when the palace guards came rushing over. Naturally, the one leading the fray would be Di Xiaowan, who came running over with Bai Shachen in tow. Princess. Deathly pale, the dragon chief felt his throat go dry like words were ripped from his lung. While the man in the background feared for his life, Dragoni, on the other hand, was even more emotional. Jumping right into the demon princess's arm, the little missy breaks out into a slobbering wail of someone trying to release all of the years of pent-up grievance. This bastard actually ignored sister-in-law's order and bullied little Dragoni. I knew I shouldn't have believed him. In front of this tearful image, Di Xiaowan wanted to explode from anger. Dragoni, come. Tell me how he bullied you. Making a guilty face, the princess attempts to soothe some of the girl's mood by asking for the details. He wanted to force me to leave the queen. Speaking with a sobbing voice, The girl's pitiful appearance would pain any sensible person. Princess, I like the queen very much. Please don't make me leave her. Huffing and puffing at this, Di Xiaowan glares fire at the man in question. You bunch in the dragon clan got some nerve. Do you think just because you are the chief of the dragons that you can get away with this, or do you think without you, your clan is finished? Going from green to white, Long Chong Tian fires off a resentful glare at his own daughter, oblivious to the fact that this came only because of his own folly. She actually really complained to the princess? And making a wronged face. He wants me to marry the king, but I only like the queen. If I must marry, it would only be with the queen. Di Tsong's departure 1. The little girl's voice may be cuddly and cute, filled with the tone of a child, but that statement was more damning than anything else anyone has the nerve to say. In fact, it was to the point where the people were involuntarily shaking due to the momentary fright. Marry the queen? This, taking in a deep breath, Di Xiaowan calmly yet sternly holds onto the little missy's shoulder and spoke. You must never say such a thing again, especially in front of my brother the king. Do you understand? Why? Dragoni blinks her eyes in confusion. My brother, he will throw you out. By then you will never be able to see my sister-in-law again. That sour jar will get jealous regardless of it being a man or a woman. If he hears Dragoni's intent of wanting to marry sister-in-law, then he will most definitely throw her out. As soon as she heard that Di Tsong would have her leave by Yan's side, the little missy's body promptly shook into a new one. Princess, I understand. It's good that you understand. Smiling brightly, the demon princess then turns her attention back to the one that's at fault. My brother and sister-in-law's word is deaf to your ears, right? Princess, you mustn't listen to this girl's nonsense. Long Chong Tian hurried to get back up for the third time, his gaze sharp as he stared at Dragoni's face. This girl is full of lies. You mustn't believe her. That claim promptly causes the girl in question to rear back a few steps. In Dragoni's eye right now, the father whom she thought was the kindest of her so-called family was in fact scarier than anyone else. Auntie? Wrinkling his brow, Bai Xiachen tugs at the princess's sleeve to get her attention. Mother tasked me with protecting Dragoni. Let me handle this? Startled at first over the request, Di Xiaowan eventually relents with a nod after seeing that innocent and kind face. All right, to be clear, in light of the baby boy's brilliant smile that could warm a soul, it's in fact the most dangerous one Bai Xiachen could make. Naturally, this fact remains only known to those closest to him, so the dragon chief didn't have a clue on what's about to befall himself. Little prince, what I said is all true. This girl is resenting me for giving Xiaoya more love. That's why she's trying to frame me. Earlier I even scolded her to keep her filthy eyes off of the king and forget the idea. I did not. Raising her stubborn face, the tearful girl cries out in protest. I did not lie. I really didn't lie. Although Di Xiaowan didn't know what her nephew intends to do next to punish the deceitful dragon. Nevertheless, she knew enough that it's more than what she herself could dish out. Hence the only comfort she gave to the little missy was a little rub of the hand. Auntie, I'm still new to the demon realm, so mind telling me the rules? If someone attempts to deceive the royal family, what's the punishment for such a crime? Soft and cute, Bai Xiachen's voice was crisp and pristine as it drifted into everyone's ear. It's a capital offense, the princess replies. Since it's a capital offense of death. Smiling lovingly still. Dragon Chief, now that you are aware of this, are you still going to say those words were from your daughter? Are you intending to kill her by doing so? Long Chong Tian hesitated for a long time in his response. The reason why he didn't pick on this mentally challenged daughter of his over the years wasn't because he's aching for Dragoni. Rather, he's still with hope. Well, it's more of fear if truth be told. He feared that if the girl does somehow soar into the sky one day, he would lose control. But by being good to Dragoni, he could then use their family bond to tie the girl down to be of use to the clan. Unfortunately, if he doesn't pin the blame onto the girl today, then the one to die would be himself. Even if the little dragon does reach new heights in the future, it means nothing when he himself was dead. I'm only saying the truth in not wanting the queen to be swindled by this little liar. allowing the glint of cruelness to show in his iris. Then, the man arches his fist in submission. Crown Prince, it's my fault for not disciplining the girl properly. Whatever you wish to do with her is of your call. I will not interfere or say a word in her defense anymore. Ditsong's departure. 2. Since you are not benevolent, then don't blame me for being unjust. This is all because you spilled our conversation out to everyone. Now it's on you to take responsibility. Even if the royal family wants your life, you deserve it. Dragoni's body literally froze on the spot as a layer of sadness covered up that hanging head. She may have only just opened up her mind thanks to Bai Yan's jelly beans. Even so, she's smart enough now to know when her father wants her life. Little Dragoni, Bai Shachin smiled brightly as he turned back to the girl. Are you seeing this? He's already treating you like so. You wouldn't have an opinion when I punish him later, right? That question instantly shattered the cruel smirk from the dragon chief's face. Now, only startlement remains as he stared wide-eyed at the little prince. What does he mean by that? He is not my father. The little missy cocks her head up, tears removed from that collected face. He is not my father, Auntie, grinning in his smile. It was you who agreed to hand over Dragoni to him. Now I will let you dispose of him personally. The demon princess didn't object, only puckering her lips to the side. This little rascal. He only said all those things to let Dragoni see the man's true face. If you don't handle it well, Bai Shachin's voice grew chilly and unnerving. If my mother finds out, she will be quite angry, you know. Upon the second that threat came to an end, the princess immediately shuddered in cold fright at the image of that peerless couple, all frowning now in that face. Shachin, how can you be like this, learning the habit of threatening others from your mother? That's because you handed Dragoni over to him. But you also agreed to the idea. That's why I'm troubling you to take the blame for me. Making the most cunning grin ever. The baby boy didn't bring shame to his heritage of being a fox. Di Xiao Wan's face went darker than a bottom of a pot. As expected of my brother's son, he really is so lovable and hateful at the same time. While the two were having the conversation to decide his hate, Long Changtian, on the other hand, was already a lost cause. He could hear nothing, only dropping to the floor with his despairing face of what awaits him. It's over. This time I'm finished. Bastard. You almost dragged me down with you, did you know that? Not only are you not repenting for your crimes, you even tried to frame your own daughter. It's a real tragedy for Dragoni to have a father like you. Sending a kick at the dragon chief to vent her anger, Di Xiaowan misses the straggler in the back corner of her eye as the result of her preoccupied attention. For every bastard there must be a bitch to accompany them. Otherwise, how could they be a perfect match? For Long Changtian, his partner naturally falls onto Zhang Rui. This woman saw it all, the lies, the deceit, and the impending capital offense awaiting her husband. Just that, instead of coming to the man's aid, this woman wanted to split for the outside the second things turned bad. You are 100 times worse than that Zhang Rui. She is openly bad on the surface while you are bad straight to your bones. I'm telling you now, no one can save you today. As for your clan, I'll have brother choose a new chief for the dragon clan. I really can't put any trust into you dragons at this point. Before long, wails of sorrow were dominating the air within this corridor and catching the attention of the attendees who came today. The only reason they didn't run over to see what's happening was due to the princess's presence. But when it came time after the deed was done, the scene that's displayed for the people were horrific and fear-instilling. Di Tsong's departure. 3. They only knew the princess was an unpredictable fickle of a girl, but they never expected her to be capable of such cruelty like her older brother the king. Sure, Long Changtian may not be dead from this ordeal, but as a consequence of his survival, he would likely be chained to the bed for the rest of his life. Beyond the palace, after carefully checking her surroundings and making sure it's safe to come out, Zhang Rui then had the courage to step back into her place of stay. Mother. The first to greet the dragon mistress was Long Xiaoya, the second daughter who eagerly wanted news of the coronation's outcome. What happened at the palace? Did the king take in a lot of women? Did the queen cause a ruckus and halted the ceremony? I knew that woman couldn't be any good. The more she spoke, the more dastardly this maiden became, to the point where those cheeks were a flush red. Maybe the king will even discard this queen. By then I will have a chance. In light of her mouth moving up and down, wanting to tell the truth, Zhang Rui just didn't have the heart to break her daughter's heart. Xiaoya, pack your things, we are leaving here now. The girl was stunned by her mother's order and quickly lost that initial excitement. Mother, why are we rushing to leave when father hasn't returned yet? This? Gnashing her teeth, Zhang Rui shows off a resentful look. The little fool is now soaring in the sky. He only needs her, so why would he need us anymore? Hurry and go pack your bags. But before the pair could make it any further out of this place, a series of footsteps were already rushing over. Next thing they knew, a group of heavily armed guards have aligned outside the doorway and the surrounding structure. What are you all doing? Long Xiaoya became enraged by the act. My father is the current chief of the dragon family, who allowed you to be so impudent before us. Dragon chief? The leading captain of these soldiers openly sneered with a cynical tone. It was His Majesty who tasked us to escort you two back to the palace. Long Xiaoya's eyes lit up. It's the king who ordered you to escort us? That means the king has feelings for me? I will go to the king right away. While the oblivious girl continues with her antic, Zhang Rui on the other side was already losing all life from that face. Ha ha! The guards broke out into a laughing fit over that sudden outburst. As if His Majesty would need your company when he's so madly in love with the queen. The last bit of that sentence was sharp like the needles, piercing straight into Long Xiaoya's heart until it hurts immeasurably. Didn't that woman have a fit and cause the king to abandon her? So what if they are madly in love? The king still took in a lot of women into his harem. Unwilling to lose, the crazy girl tries to fire back using that mocking tone of hers. Without surprise, that damning remark only propelled Zhang Rui into a distraught state. She wanted so dearly to cover up that big mouth of her daughter, but despite the multiple attempts to do so, she could not. Perhaps Miss Xiaoya is still unaware since you couldn't attend the queen's coronation. A flash of contempt beams out of the guard captain's eye. Our king has openly said it before everyone today. In this life he will only have the queen as his wife. There will be no other. One love for one life. That's the promise sire made to Her Highness. Due to how shocking and explosive that was, Long Xiaoya ended up stumbling backwards with a terrible fright. What did you say? One love for one life? How ridiculous! How could sire only take one woman for this life? Oh, His Majesty also made a warning to those who's coveting after the queen's position. Those that do can walk into the harem from the front, but they will only come back out lying down as a dead person. Boom! Unable to withstand this level of shock, the dragon girl finally crumbled to the floor and fell into despair. Ditsong's departure for Miss Xiaoya, our king and queen are a match made by fate. I don't see how His Majesty would want to give you a second glance. Really, where do you get such confidence from when the queen is so much more beautiful? In these past few days, Bai Yan would rarely leave the Demon Mountain. However, that doesn't mean the little rascal would behave so well. The kid's been scurrying around everywhere and making friends left and right. Long Xiaoya slowly regains herself afterwards. If the king doesn't like me, then why is he having you bunch escort me back? Ho ho! The guard snickered with contempt at the question. Sire only sent us because it's along the way. By the way, a new chief has been chosen for the dragon clan, and the old one is to be disposed of by the new one. Boom! Like having her whole sky blown apart. Long Xiaoya became utterly stupefied by this sudden news, asking with panic in her voice, "What do you mean by a new chief? Where's my father? Even if I want to be the king's woman, that's my business. Based on what can you abolish my father's post? From now on I'm no longer the big lady of the dragon family? No, I can't. I cannot allow myself to be shunned into the lives of a low-class being." Dragon Chief Long Chongtian has been found guilty of deceitful and treasonous practices towards the royal family. The death penalty is inevitable. Wait. Bullying the little fool is what sin. She is my father's daughter. Then I have to say sorry in breaking it to you, That is the Queen's order. Anyone who bullies Miss Dragoni shall bear the same crime as capital offense. Giving a cold hard look at the two females in the room, the guard captain then continues after making sure they understood his words thus far. As for the other offenses, one is the attempted seduction of the king, the second being an attack on the queen. Attacking the queen? When did that happen? Looking at the horrified face of this young lady, the guards knew exactly what the girl was thinking and sneered. These charges will be judged by the king at another date. Until then, the both of you are to be imprisoned inside the dungeon for later disposal. No, you can't do this to me. I want to see the king. I want to see him, ah! Upon seeing the encroaching figures ready to take her away in cuffs, the delusional girl finally snapped back to reality and screamed for help. Unfortunately, regardless of how vocal that voice would be today, there shall be no mercy given. In a flash, everything was done and set. As for Zhang Rui, this former dragon mistress knew better than to resist under these circumstances, making her the easier target to handle. White Moon Palace. In this sacred and lovely place, only the facial contour of the stunning woman was highlighted as a result of the moon's ray tonight. As she opened her eyes again from the short nap, Bai Yan has found the manly existence that's constantly by her side until now gone, nowhere to be seen like usual. Mistress. Little Rice lazily stretched his paws, crawling out of the bed and into the woman's arm. King just left earlier, what should we do next? We're going to the Demon Mountain. I need to do some closed-door training when consuming this try-reaching Soldan pill I made the other day. She climbs out of the bed and calmly walked towards the doorway. Mistress, little master went out with Dragoni to play. Should I go inform them beforehand? Clawing at the woman's dress, the baby tiger didn't want to fall off from the swaying motion. No need, this is the demon realm, it is very safe, not to mention there's Suzaku around. Don't worry about it, no one would disturb their fun. Deetsong's departure, 5. The main priority now lies in improving my strength. Only then can I be at ease in gaining what I want. Demon Mountain. Inside the small cabin made out of bamboo pieces, Bai Yan remains seated as the beady little object radiates a faint green light in her hand. Try reaching Soldan pill, with this I can finally have a breakthrough again. Smiling with anticipation, she smoothly throws the item into her mouth and allows the stream of warmth to circulate across her internals. But the comforting feelings were short-lived. Moments later, the sensation quickly devolves into a harsh, stinging pain, causing that dainty figure to shake all over. As expected, the side effects for taking this is as potent as I thought. But I won't yield. This time I must reach new heights in my cultivation. Under the reddish rays of the moon, the ocean of flowers here were letting off an eerie glow as a result of the extreme environment. King, a fiery red giant bird descends from the sky and transformed into a man with red hair. Showing reverence in that face, he spoke. Our people have found a way to break the seal around the demon realm, just that the seal is currently being guarded by a group of people. Based on their powers, we suspect they are from the celestial realm and is beyond our ability to overcome. Sire, you will have to personally pay them a visit if we are to defeat them. Wrinkling that brow, Deetsong eventually loosens it and spoke. Go inform state teacher that I'm leaving for a few days and have him tell my wife about. He knows Bai Yan should be in closed-door training by now. That meant he couldn't wait until then to pass on the message. Hence the reason why he's turning to the state teach for help. I've already contacted state teacher earlier. Just that. Lowering his head, the red-haired man that's known as Fire Plume sounded unsure in his voice. It seems that he's also in closed-door training and isn't responding to my call. Then go back personally to pass on my word. My message must reach my wife, understood? After tossing this order behind, Deetsong's figure was then gone from the spot after taking only a step forward. It's as if he was never there to begin with. Fire Plume, on the other hand, began to panic a bit in the background. This is too dangerous. Oh, why is my job so difficult? If anything happens to the king while he's out to break the seal by himself, then the one at fault will most certainly be with me. Yet I still have to go back to pass on a message? I need to get a new job. But just as this red-haired man wanted to transform back into his bird form to rush the job and return, a familiar figure from the path nearby seems to have caught his attention. General Fireplume? The girl apparently recognizes the Birdman and hurried over. General, how come you are here? As the only individual to have been brought from the mortal world and the sole custodian of the general title from Deetsong, the Birdman's reputation was very high despite his mundane origin. I remember now, you are the big lady from the Fox family. You came just in time because I still have something to do. Go back to the palace in my stead and pass on a message to the Queen. Tell Her Highness that the king will be away temporarily and would return soon. Since the royal family of this world were foxes, Fireplume just assumed it's safe to hand off the mission to the newcomer. After all, the list of banned individuals didn't include this big lady from the Fox clan. Don't worry, General Fireplume. I will bring your message to the Queen for sure. All smiles. The lady sounded innocent and naive without an ounce of malicious intent. Deetsong's departure, 6. Now I can catch up to His Majesty and not let him tackle the danger alone. Fireplume exhales a sigh of relief at this thought. However, as soon as the red-haired man disappeared from the spot, the innocent and naive look of the lady was nowhere to be seen anymore, replaced only by the look of a gloomy and sharp figure. Why are you doing this? A low voice rang out from behind, causing Qing Shue's brow to wrinkle up. What are you doing out here? Aren't you afraid of state teacher discovering you? The woman snaps back with her own retort. Twitching over that comment, the man steels himself despite the unease he felt. He is currently in closed-door training. He won't know about my departure. But that's not the point. Answer me first, why are you doing this? Qing Shue just scoffed off the interrogating tone and slowly turned around to confront that ordinary-looking face. That's right. The one back at the cave with his face perennially shrouded in fog was no more than an ordinary-looking foe with no special features. I really don't know why state teacher would choose a person like this to become the substitute of the king. How can he be compared with His Majesty's handsome beauty? You still haven't helped me yet. That's why I have to take actions into my own hands. Thank goodness His Majesty is gone right now. Grinning with a slight contempt in her lips, Qing Shue's word had a mocking tone to it. The man frowned. You should be glad General Fireplume is not originally from the demon realm. Otherwise he would have definitely recognized the fact that you are impersonating that family's lady. Don't treat me as a fool. I know what I'm doing. Everything is within my grasp, all right. Chuckling in a narcissistic manner. Then again, I didn't expect my plan to work out so perfectly. Good thing I'm aware of that Fireplume being unfamiliar with the Fox clan's big lady. If not for that reason, do you think I would still try to impersonate her? The demon race never uses the face to recognize one's identity because it's far too easy to impersonate, hence the heavy reliance on scent. Don't forget, I am also a fox. The man's complexion didn't look so well after hearing the snake woman had skinned one of his clansmen. Qing Shue scoffs off the comment. Yes, you used to be a fox, but only a prisoner, I might remind you. I didn't expect you to be so fond of your ancestry after how cold they've treated you over the years. Just a reminder, none of the members in the Fox family cares about you. And the reason why I pretended to be a fox is because Sire holds great faith in his own kind. The same is true of those around him. If not for that reason, I would have impersonated the other races instead. Then what are you planning to do next? The man's tone carried a hinge of frustration. Holding her step at that question, Qing Shue turns around to stare straight into her accomplice's eye. The coronation ceremony is already over, yet you remain indifferent and unwilling to help me. Just so you know, I will never give up on that man, so I can only do this myself. Though blind and one-sided, the snake's love for Deetsong have already grown to the level where it's part of her flesh and bone. There's no turning back, even if it means crossing the lines of no return. The news of Deetsong's departure naturally remains unknown to Bai Yen due to the outside interreference. As such, half a month had transpired without a single word from either end. That was until a loud explosive bang shook the skies today. Deetsong's departure. 7. Outside the bamboo cabin, Di Xiaowan was just in the middle of accompanying by Xiachen and Dragoni in their game of tag when the ruckus occurred. As a result, the one to suffer the most had to be Little Rice, who tragically ended up dropping face first to the ground after jolting up from his napping spot. By the time the demon princess turned around to see what's going on, a dainty pair of hands had already pushed open the door to reveal that blood-red dress and the person donning it. "Sister-in-law, have you made a breakthrough?" she asks with hopeful anticipation. Nodding in return, Bai Yan confirms the question with that gesture. "Yes, I just managed to reach a new level in my cultivation. From now on I am no longer just at the level of king rank." "Sister-in-law is awesome." Jumping up and down with glee, Di Xiaowan could not hold back her excitement like a little child. "Of course, my mother is the best." Bai Xiachen also decides to chime in with his proud little voice. To one-up his auntie as well, the boy immediately followed that sentence up with a heavy jump into those long-sought-after arms. Losing all of his proud air, the kid reverts back to his pitiful and childish self. "Mother, I missed you so much, you know. I also missed my precious Xiachen as well." Rubbing the little steambun's head, Bai Yan was all smiles. "All right, where is your father?" Making a glimpse of disappointment, the kid ends up pursing that lip like an unhappy child. "I haven't seen Batty father for a long time now." At that, Bai Yan's brow immediately wrinkled up into a knot. "Xiachen haven't seen Di Tsong for a long time? You father is likely busy with the state's affair. To make up for the neglect over this half a month, why don't we take a trip outside the palace as compensation, all right?" Lightening up in his eyes, Bai Xiachen's mood promptly fluttered up. "Okay, mother. Let's go out of the palace. I want to play." "Let's go then." One hand holding her son and the other holding Dragoni. "I will take the both of you out to play." Watching this from the back, Di Xiaowan puckers her lip like a grieving waifu. "Sister-in-law, what about me?" Halting at the call, Bai Yan looks back at the demon princess. "You and Little Rice can follow us." In light of being disappointed by the answer, the girl nevertheless did as told and picked up the spinning-eyed tiger from the floor. "Wait for us, we're coming." Why do I feel like I've been disfavored ever since Dragoni came into existence? Originally Di Xiaowan only wanted to complain inwardly to vent some of that grievance. Who could have guessed a moment of carelessness had caused her to mutter it aloud, allowing the baby tiger in her hand to hear it up front. When have you ever been in favor? If she's never been in favor, then how can she lose it, right? Going dark in the face. Nobody would call you a mute if you don't speak. I'm such a failure as a princess. Even this rascal is picking on me now. Then, princess, what do you think of Dragoni? Little Rice ponders this as he's being hung around by the tail. Mistress rarely cares about a stranger, let alone have a stranger hang around herself. But Dragoni has broken every norm. Think about what? Isn't Dragoni the little missy from the Dragon Clan? What is there to think about? Well, she's not anymore since the chief has been changed to a new one. Doubtful in her eyes, Di Xiaowan didn't comprehend the meaning behind that question. Twitching in the corner of his tiger lip, Little Rice had to hand it to this clueless girl. Forget what I said. It's nothing then. Oh, forget it. Asking this dumbaklutz wouldn't help anyways. Maybe Suzaku or state teacher would know. Beyond the palace, a bustling market was the first area of the capital in which the group visited for their little venture. Mother, the demon realm isn't much different from the human world, don't you think? Looking around, Bai Xiachen had curious eyes as he scanned the new terrain with a sense of novelty. However, that initial excitement soon changed to disappointment after he looked up from the side. Beating Qing Shui won. Mother! Seeing Bai Yan's dazed expression, the baby boy quickly wrinkled up his lovely forehead and thought, what happened to mother? The soft little voice of the steam bun did grab Bai Yan's mind back to reality. However, her focus clearly wasn't entirely here with them. Touching her son's head in a comforting manner, I am fine. You and your auntie can take Dragoni off to play first. I want to be alone for a little bit. Ever since she came out of her closed-door training, a sense of restlessness has been plaguing this woman's heart. Okay. Raising his eyes to meet hers. I will not trouble mother then. If there's anything disturbing you though, mother can always confide in me. I will always be mother's favorite son and be your great protector. Feeling the warmth running straight into her heart, Bai Yan just couldn't resist leaning down to give her son a peck on the cheek, despite it being a public place. He's just too adorable and lovable to not do that. Go, I will catch up very soon. Bye-bye, mother. Making a goodbye gesture, Bai Xiachen then went ahead to lead Dragoni over to Di Xiaowan's side. Auntie, let's go shopping, okay? Feeling moved to tears by this request, the princess finally felt useful for once. Just that, what happened to sister-in-law? Her pretty eyes were full of doubts which reflected in that hesitant tone. Shaking his little head in return, Bai Xiachen answers honestly, I don't know. Maybe mother misses batty father. Biting his lip, the boy makes a frustrated look while hanging his head. No matter what happened in the past, mother would never keep secrets from me. But now, Auntie, after a moment of his silence, the boy seems to have regained some of his vigor upon coming to some sort of conclusion. Before batty father told me I could enhance my strength by coming to the demon realm. Do you know where I can get help for that? This? Scratching her head over that dilemma, the demon princess sounded stumped. I don't really know. It's likely only state teacher and my brother would know. Sighing at that answer, it was as the kid thought. It looks like I would need to go look for batty father, only then will I be able to get stronger. Atop of a mountain peak that's reached up to the clouds, a certain woman of extraordinary beauty was currently resting against the big oak tree growing here. The scenery of this demon realm really is different from the mortal world. Looking up at the blood-colored moon that's perennially hanging in the sky, Bai Yan's eyes showed a hint of fondness for this sort of picture. It's getting late. I should get back to Xiachen and them. But just as she's about to leave after getting up, that's when her ears picked up a slithering, sly voice from the corner of her eyes. Who, come out? Stepping forward from the flowered-covered rocks was a woman donning a light blue dress, her face cold and proud as she confronted Bai Yan's stare. What's the matter? Likely able to perceive the fact that the newcomer came with ill intent, her voice was sharp and snappy. Queen. Qing Shui didn't mind the poor reception and donned a cold smile of her own, just that it's also mixed with a certain level of mockery. I came today to tell you a few things lest you stay in the dark. What is it? Bai Yan had no reason to be rash after hearing that, only leaning her back against the big oak tree with that confident smile of hers. Beating Qing Shui, too. I'm just pitying you. Pressing down her jealousy, Qing Shui's eyes forces a look of sympathy like she's genuinely doing this out of kindness. Guess you don't know about my relationship with your husband the king, do you? Chuckling at that statement, Bai Yan didn't seem fazed at all from the outside. Ditsong has a relationship with you? Can't be. As enemies? The ridicule instantly caused a crack in the snake's pretentious face, making it dark as a coal. Isn't a female supposed to be enraged as soon as they hear their husband has been in a relationship with another woman? Why is she so unconventional? Gritting her teeth, the woman attempts to downplay her rage by snickering triumphantly. Don't get so conceited, Queen. Do you really think His Majesty would only take you as his woman? I don't mind telling you the truth. Me and His Majesty have already become one a long time ago. If not for your appearance, the position you are in now would have been mine ages ago. The more she spoke, the angrier this woman became to the point where that chest was now heaving up and down. In fact, her appearance gave the impression that Bai Yan really did steal her man and post despite being not true. Are you finished? If finished, then I'm leaving. Straightening her back, Bai Yan ignores the stranger and was ready to take her leave. You don't believe me? Qing Shui said it with such sarcasm that it's almost believable. Why do you think that you are the queen and not me? I'll tell you, it's because there's a rumor circulating around that the king must wait for the destined individual to be his wife. Otherwise, the demon realm will face a calamity so great that destruction would be inevitable. That last bit instantly stops Bai Yan's foot from leaving. Continue. Ho, you are just born with a better fate than I. You think His Majesty is being good to you because of who you are. Don't make me laugh. He's only taking you in out of consideration for the little prince's sake and the rumor in the air. Otherwise, why else would he take in a mortal woman? Thunk. Out of the blue, a heavy knock from a stone had landed on Qing Shui's forehead, causing her to flinch backwards from the stinging pain. Enraged by the transgression, the snake woman immediately searched for the source and saw the little girl standing not far away from Bai Yan's location. You bad woman. You are not allowed to bully the queen. Frowning over the signature of that voice, Bai Yen too also turned around to seek the owner. To her surprise, it was someone she knew. Dragoni, what are you doing here? Where's Shachan and Xiao Wan? Queen, I snuck away while brother Shachan and auntie Xiao Wan was busy buying some presents for you. All steaming in her tender little face, the Missy once again picked up another stone and tossed it at the snake. Qing Shui scoffed at the pitiful act with ridicule in those eyes. Earlier she only took the hit due to her attention being occupied by Yan's dismissive behavior. Now that she's aware of this brat, there's no way she could allow another hit. Sweeping her hand at the projectile, the force released immediately stopped the stone midair and forced it right back to the source. Dragoni, all gloomy in the face, Bai Yen reflexively pulls the girl into her arms for protection. And thankfully so as well because the impact from the returning stone had left a small crater in its wake. Imagine what would have happened if it had landed on Dragoni's body. She'd be toast. Do you think I would believe your words just because of your claim? I will only believe in Ditsong himself, my husband. Loosening her grip on the little Missy, Bai Yen then went on the offensive with her aura. Now grovel before me this instant. You! Qing Shui still wanted to snap back at the command. But that quickly subsided once the foe's oppressive aura came gushing into her face and body. Beating Qing Shui, 3. Under this oppressive pressure, her body involuntarily bends towards the ground with the knee, causing her to panic and unsure what to do aside from looking up at that domineering existence. Kneel! Pong! At that, Qing Shui's body promptly banged against the floor, letting those tears to trickle down as a result of the stinging pain caused by the impact. There's so much resentment in those eyes right now that it's unnerving. Queen, you will believe me one of these days. Know what I say is not false, and you will regret not heeding my words that the king loves me more than you. Only after enduring that immense pressure did she manage to spew the last bit out. Even so, her back was already covered in cold sweat that sent chills down the spine. You bad woman! In the heat of the moment, Dragoni takes this chance to pounce at the person with her little hands. And as a result of the nails being so abnormally sharp, Qing Shui's face was immediately left with several scratch marks from the tiny girl. Hiss! This pain caused then was so sharp and unexpected that the snake nearly lost her breath. Staring venom at the girl responsible for this, damn brat, I will one day make you pay for what you did today. You will beg me to kill you before I'm through. Dragoni, come back. Bai Yen orders, worried the little Missy might stain her hands because of this filth. Sure enough, the obedient girl immediately returned and reverted back to that innocent and naive self. As far as I know, the Snake Clan have already been annihilated with only the second Miss escaping with her life. Faintly curving those lips into a sneer, Bai Yen then pulls out a dagger and waves it around against the foe's cheek. If I'm not wrong, you are that second Miss of the Snakes. Dismay grips the woman's face, causing it to go deathly pale. How did she know? I clearly covered up myself with the fox skin. How can she see through my disguise with only a glance? If you were someone else, then maybe I would have perhaps spared your life. However, what a shame. My grudge with your clan cannot be overlooked. Bai Yen proclaims, sealing the demoness fate with a death sentence in that statement. Qing Luan kidnapped my son and forced him to take poison. Furthermore, that wretched woman even summoned her ancestor to kill me. If I still remain unmoved, then I don't deserve to be a mother or a human for that matter. Qing Shui, on the other hand, was now so overcome with fear that her whole body was convulsing. She couldn't even utter a single word in protest or defense. No wonder he wouldn't let me come make trouble for the queen. This human woman is not a fool like that General Fire Plume. As remorseful as this snake was over her own folly, she knew there's no way Bai Yen would let her off easy. Queen, continuing to use her tenacious attitude to defend herself, Qing Shui remains firm with her lies as a last resort. I've said it. I'm not deceiving you. I may be a member of the Snake Clan, but that doesn't mean it's right for you to be prejudiced against my existence. I'm only here today out of kindness to remind you. Slightly irked by the shameless deceit this snake pulls Eve when things have come this far, Bai Yan decides to let her have a little taste of what it means to lie in front of her. In one little sliding motion, a stinging pain grips the snake's face and allows the warm liquid under the skin to flow outward. Flustering up over that sensation. She can't do this to me. If my face is ruined, then how am I supposed to seduce the king? Queen, queen! It was then at this moment that a soldier came running over. Based on how rushed and flustered the man looked, it couldn't be anything good. This is not good, queen. Your son and the princess faced an accident. What? Nearly losing her balance from having those legs go numb, Bai Yan completely drops the dagger from her hand and turned to the massager in haste. Where is my son? Where is Xiao Wan? Take me to them this instant. Beating Qing Shui. 4. Yes, queen. The guard bows his heads without hiding the anxiety in those eyes, thus causing everyone to miss that peculiar light which should have been a huge giveaway. Panicking straight from her heart, the woman drops everything and ran for the city, completely forgetting the fact that she's supposed to be disposing of a certain snake right now. Bai Xiaqin was Bai Yan's life, therefore it's no wonder her reaction would be so devastatingly huge. Alone again after being left in the background, a man in navy blue appears in front of Qing Shui. Why are you doing this? I warned you before, the queen is not an average person like you think. If you rush in carelessly, then you are bound to be in danger. I saved this time, but what about the next? Do you expect to be so fortunate every time? Pursing those lips in resentment, Qing Shui eventually manages to stand up despite the faint shake lingering inside. What method did you use to save me earlier? Over the years I made some puppets. They've been expended in order to save you. Looking at the man's frustrated face, Qing Shui not only didn't feel remorseful for her rash action, she only saw it as an opportunity. Then does that mean you also have some puppets in the palace? I have no puppet in the palace. The king is a watchful man. If I dare insert my eyes into there, he would surely discover them. Smiling wryly, it's just that I've managed to insert my puppets into the various clans to keep track of the outside world. There were 2 reasons for this. One being he's always bored by being confined to the locations directed by others. The second, he wanted companionship and news from the outside. Now imagine how painful it must be for this man to lose all that he's built up over the decades. I can't wait any longer. The snake demoness tightly clenched her fist, showing a glint of coldness in her eyes. When will you help me? If you don't move soon, then I will continue to find the queen. Do you want to see me dead? If so, then I will do it and show you. The man's heart shuddered at the last part. Making a bitter face, he sighs. Fine. I will help you in the coming days. This was already the last chance. If he doesn't move, the king would surely return. By then, Qing Shui wouldn't be able to escape no matter the efforts he pulls. Within the bustling market of the capital city, Bai Yan hurriedly followed the guard to the location of her son and the princess. To the woman's surprise, the scene to welcome her arrival didn't exactly pan out in the way she imagined. Rather than her loved ones being in danger, there's only a pile of thugs lying on the floor moaning and groaning in pain and very close to death. Sister-in-law? Di Xiao Wan only needed a glance to notice the woman's arrival. Immediately making a delighted face, the princess's mood should have been great. That was until she noticed Dragoni tagging along by holding Bai Yan's hand. Where have you been, Dragoni? Me and Xiaqin have been looking all over for you. Gnawing at her nails over the question, the little missy puts on a guilty face. I wanted to follow the queen. That's why I went to find her. Normally Di Xiao Wan would be outraged at that sort of explanation, but against that innocent and naive face, she couldn't even get mad and bear to blame her. Xiaqin, running over fast at the sight of her son, Bai Yan's hand remains shaky despite everything being okay. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have left you alone. I'm so happy that you're fine. She almost lost her son once before. That's why she's getting so emotional. The experience was simply too much for this mother the first time around. Mother, don't cry, I am fine. Moving that hand to help wipe some of those tears, Bai Xiaqin sensibly soothes the crying Bai Yan with his bright smile. When father is not around, I am the only male in the house. That's why I need to protect mother and auntie. There's no need to worry about me. Beating Qing Shui. 5. Di Xiaowan was literally moved to tears by how sensible that statement was from her nephew. It's almost unheard of to hear such wondrous things from a child of that age, with all things considered. Xiaoyun, tell me what happened. Bai Yan eventually calms down after stabilizing her emotions. I don't know either. The princess shakes her head cluelessly. In the demon realm, none would ever dare attack us due to the superior difference of our blood. However, these people ignored our orders and even rushed us despite the fact. Slightly wrinkling that brow, Bai Yan turns her attention to the pile of near-death thugs that's currently piled up along the street. Puppets, these people are all puppets. As puppets, they are without fear, so it's normal for them to not fear your lineage. After thinking it through, this was the only answer she could come up with now that her head has cooled down. But there's another underlying issue though. Why did these puppets attack now of all times? Suddenly, Bai Yan's sharp gaze shifted over to the guard responsible for bringing the message. How did you know where to find me, and why were you able to get to me in such a timely manner? Her voice carrying a threatening tone. Plop. Knowing he's now on the stand, the soldier promptly got to his knees in haste to explain himself. Demons are planted all over the world here, and each kind has their ways of communicating through the air. That's how I came to know your highness's whereabout. It was through the words of others. The explanation was downright impeccable, forcing Bai Yan to remain on the passive side due to her inability to judge whether it's false or true. However, the sixth sense within kept nagging in the back of her mind that it's been premeditated. Xiaowan, we're going back first. We will wait for Ditsong to return before continuing to discuss this matter. Loosening her brow, Bai Yan decides to leave things as they are for now. Also, send someone up to the mountains and retrieve the Snake Clan's second lady. I seem to have left that one behind due to the emergency. Exclaiming in astonishment, the princess sounded incredulous after hearing the news. Sister-in-law, you actually met that snake woman? Don't tell me. Did she bully you? That bad woman said many bad things about the king in front of her highness, but the queen only needed to yell once to make her kneel. Dragoni decides to chime in to give the answer, for she's too amazed by Yan's awesomeness. Queen is so amazing. I almost forgot the coronation is already completed. Now all demons in this world will fear you and do as you command. Even if Qing Shui is unwilling, there's no way for her to disobey. Cocking her face in a high and mighty manner, the demon princess looked so proud for some reason. Smiling at the girl's demeanor as well after being affected by the light mood. Let's go all of you, it's getting late so we should head back. Okay. Bai Xiaqin's interest was on the low side, so his reply remains at that. What's wrong? Bai Yan turns and asked, not missing the damp mood of her son's tone. The gift I bought for mother has been smashed up by these thugs. Me and auntie spent a lot of time and effort to pick it. The grievance in his heart manifested into the form of a hanging head and the look of tears slowly building up in those eyes. Aching over that picture, Bai Yan's hand hurried to pull him in. You are the best gift your mother I can have. There is nothing more important. Her voice soft and melting as she spoke. Almost instantaneous, Bai Xiaqin's droopy appearance disappeared, leaving only that dazzling smile that's as warm as the sun. Mother, I want to go home now. Okay, let's go back. Seeing how her son has regained his vigor, Bai Yan's mood also lightens up after being infected by that happiness. Meanwhile in the background, Di Xiaowan was growing increasingly unsure after seeing this heartwarming scene. Should I tell sister-in-law about the abnormal behavior of Xiaqin earlier? Beating Qing Shui 6. That night, Bai Yan was in the middle of meditating inside her room when she suddenly opened her eyes upon hearing the small footsteps of indecision outside. Xiaowan, come in if you want. Don't just stand there. The girl outside the door was rather startled by the voice. Nevertheless, she eventually makes up her mind and walks in with a push. Sister-in-law, I have something to tell you. Di Xiaowan rubs her hand with unease as she gazed over to the woman lying on the bed. Against that form, Bai Yan just couldn't resist a laugh. If you have anything to say then say it. Don't worry. Today when me and Xiaqin met those puppets, A pang of worry grips the princess's heart after remembering that scene. There should have been no problem considering my strength, but one of them broke the present we picked for you. Upon noticing the wrinkle in the woman's forehead, Di Xiaowan's demeanor grew even more squeamish. How should I explain it? When Xiachen saw that, he changed completely. It was very scary, like he went into a frenzied state. Now Bai Yan was openly frowning. So you were saying that pile of thugs wasn't done in by you? Going white at that accusation, the girl promptly objects to the notion. How can you say that about me, sister-in-law? Am I that kind of person? Not buying that one bit. Bai Yan gives her friend there an accusing look. What do you think? As much as the princess wanted to continue to protest in her own defense, Di Xiaowan knew she's been caught. The miserable image of the former dragon chief still lingers in her mind, which was solely caused by the orders she gave to the palace guards. Now that I look back at it, alright, I am that kind of person. But sister-in-law, this is not the time to be talking about me, we're talking about Xiachen. I only have one nephew, I don't want him to be in any danger. Bai Yan didn't answer and stayed quiet for a while. Where is your brother now? Him. Pursing her lips in discontent, Di Xiaowan gives a snort at the mention. I reckon he's shutting himself away again to deal with the state's affair. It's common for him to stay missing for days or even weeks on end without anyone seeing him. In particular, brother wants to attack the celestial realm recently, so he must be busy thinking up of ways to attack those pretentious celestials. But just when Di Xiaowan wanted to explain the story of how her brother intends to attack a whole world for the sake of a simple careless remark by Bai Yan, the princess abruptly stopped due to the keynote deed song left behind from way back. It's supposed to be a surprise, so she's not in the position to reveal this secret. A gift should come from the one that's prepared it, the girl knows at least that much. What about state teacher then? Tightening her brow even further, Bai Yan continues to ask. I haven't seen state teacher for a long time as well, maybe he's in closed-door training. Puckering her lips to the side, the girl answers with a grunt. Tell me where or how to find Deetsong then. Maybe he would know how to handle Xiachen's case. Slowly rising from the bed, Bai Yan's appearance clearly shows she's ready to go. Sister-in-law, do you need me to accompany you to those places? Without delay, the princess lists the usual locations her brother would be during times like these. No need. Shaking her head, Bai Yan shoots the idea down and walked out the door on her own. Now things are starting to make sense on why no one would know about Deetsong's departure. The man has had a bad habit of disappearing for long periods of time without so much as a word, making this all the more normal. Leave one. Soaring through the air that's colored by the redness of the moon, Bai Yan only stopped when she finally caught a glimpse of that silvery hair belonging to a certain domineering man whom she's all too familiar with. Bai Yan didn't understand why her husband was here in this remote location and at such hour as well. However, before she could call out his name and get his attention, she was interrupted by the appearance of an old man quickly coming forward from the rear. Second elder? She mutters this upon realizing who it was. Why is he having a meeting with the second elder when he could have done it at the palace? Not to mention, he should have come seen me when I came out of my closed-door training. Finding that the man was about to turn around in her direction now, Bai Yan's heart trembled and hurriedly hid behind the tree nearby. The doubts in her had grown so huge that it's affecting her complexion. It's gloomy and dark. The suspicion didn't only apply to the woman either. The one known as Second Elder also appeared perplexed by the strange summoning. Sire, did you call for me? All respectful, the old man cups his hand to pay his greeting. Aha! The man made a smirk that's somehow different from his usual style. Coming up, I want you to send a few more people to follow the queen around. Regarding that order, the second elder just couldn't resist a chuckle. The queen is truly fortunate to have such high concern from your majesty. But I must add, there's no reason to be so worried about her highness's safety. There's the princess following her around, and there's no way anyone from the demon realm would try to bring harm in her highness's way. Is that so? The man's tone now sounded very strange and off. Second elder, do you know why I'm being so good to the queen? Isn't it because sire's love for the queen is extremely deep? Puzzled by the awkward conversation, Second elder was now openly giving a strange look to the other side. The person in front is definitely the king. There's no mistake. Whether it be the scent or aura, all of it is right. But why is he saying such strange things now? Love. The man sneered. You think someone like I would have love? She gave birth to my son the prince. That's why I'm being exceptionally grateful to her. However, that doesn't excuse her lack of morality with another man from the mortal world. That Chui Feng, she spent several years with him and even had my son call that man his godfather. Does she really expect me to believe in her innocence? What? Second elder was shocked. If the matter was said by someone else, then he may not necessarily believe in it, but this was the king spouting the claim. But the elder hesitated for a while but continued to ask anyways. When you first returned to us, why did you make that order then, claiming the queen is first and you only second? Strange. Sire is acting exceptionally strange today. What's more, shouldn't the king look for the state teacher or first elder instead of myself for matters of this degree? I'm only called second because I joined the demon council earlier than most. That doesn't mean anything. And you believed that? The man's face showed a satiric look. In the demon realm, the ultimate authority will always lie in my hands. If I want to take it back, then I can take it back. I only said those things so she would marry me. Shuddering inside over that explosive news, the elder quickly lowered his head, afraid the mere act of making eye contact would warrant severe punishment at this moment. This is incredible. I can't believe the king could pretend to be so affectionate for such a long time. Leave too. But sire, why are you doing this? The second elder gnashes his teeth and brought the doubt forward. The world has long prophesied that I must wait for the destined woman to come. They say only she can give me a child, and only she can save demon realm from utter destruction. I hold this world in great regard. That's why sacrificing a mere woman for it is nothing noteworthy of a price. The man's voice sounded cruel and ruthless, slicing through the evening wind with every word of his tongue. Bai Yen, on the other hand, have already lost her wits after hearing all those heartbreaking things. Closing those pained eyes, the words of her father back on earth once again rang within those ears. Yenner, forgive father. I have no other choice today. For the family, the price of sacrificing your mother pales in comparison. The demon realm is extremely important to me, so the sacrifice of a woman is nothing. Those words kept spinning in her mind until a small little claw stretched over to push against her dress, causing that dizziness to come to a bumbling stop. Then, before little Rice could say a single word, Bai Yen had reached down to cup that mouth, forcing the little feline to stay silent at the eye signal. Sire? The second elder sounded shaken as a layer of compassion filled those eyes of his. The queen, she is still the mother of the prince, wouldn't it be? It's precisely because she is my son's mother. That's why I'm giving her a lot of favors. However, if she dares to leave, then I will have her never meet my son again in this lifetime. A sense of killing intent swiftly blows out of the man's gaze, showing how serious his words were. The second elder still wasn't entirely convinced here and was deliberating on whether or not to inform the first elder or state teacher. Unfortunately, also, the man's voice once again rang out. This matter cannot be known to anyone except you in order to avoid having our conversation leaked to unwanted ears. This includes keeping it a secret from the Demon Council, understand? Yes, sire. The second elder nervously complies by bowing his head. The king's cruelty has long been known throughout the demon realm, just that he's always thought the queen would be special. If he can be this heartless even to the prince's birth mother, what would he do to me if others find out? After a moment of thought, the elder decides to ask one more thing. Using a meek voice, Sire, I also heard that, while you were in the mortal world, you were very pampering of the queen to the point where you didn't force her to come if she didn't wish it. But now you are. Because I want her to willingly carry out the coronation ceremony of her own accord. Only by doing so will her fate be intertwined with the demon realm as a whole. Otherwise, why else would I condone her immoral past? There's nothing more the second elder could ask for at this point. Giving a moment of silence to figure out what he must do, the elder complies wholeheartedly. I understand, sire. Later, I will send someone to follow the queen. You can retreat now. I still have other matters to tend to. The man waves his hand, issuing the dismissal of their meeting. After the senior left, the man as well disappeared from sight, leaving only the silent air and the bloodish red moon hanging in the night. Well, that's assuming Bai Yen and Little Rice wasn't around to hear everything. Released from that hand and able to get a breath, the baby tiger speaks in a forceful and fearful manner. Mistress, I could never have thought the king would be such a person. Slowly closing her eyes at that, Bai Yen didn't answer back, only standing there for a good minute in idle deep thought. However, when she did finally open them again, that light in her pupils were sharp and cold. Leave 3. Things haven't been clarified yet, so let's not jump to conclusions yet. And, I believe in Ditsong. How can I believe his favoring and doting is all because I'm Zaken's mother? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Mistress, but he knows about Chu Yifeng. In this place, who else would know about him? Little Rice adds, still wary of the situation. If it was going to be like this from the beginning, then I shouldn't have believed in Ditsong. Even if Mistress would be annoyed at first, it'd be better than letting Mistress get hurt like this, likely irked by having the flaw in her excuse pointed out. Bai Yen coldly swept her gaze down at the grieving tiger. Don't let Xiachen or Xiaowan know about this yet. Then Mistress Yu? Let's go back first. The woman's hand tenses up at that sentence, her face abnormally white under the moonlight. White Moon Palace. Di Xiaowan was currently leaning her beautiful face against one of her hands as the other tapped against the table in boredom. But just as her patience was about to reach a critical point, the door was suddenly pushed open and in came that amazing red figure. Sister-in-law, why are you coming back so soon? Did you see my brother? What did he say? But as soon as this nosy princess finished that bombardment of questions, the girl immediately began to notice the oddity and strangeness in the other side's face. Her heart tenses up as a result. What's wrong, sister-in-law? Why is your face looking so white? Is it, Xiachen can't be saved? Her voice was a sobbing mess now as those eyes teared up with water. Her imagination could only be called wild in how she could deduce something like that from mere seconds of interaction. Xiaowan. Bai Yen began to stare straight at the other side. I have something I want to ask you. What? The princess blinks and blinks, puzzled by the suddenness of the question. Second elder of the Demon Council. Is his loyalty trustable? Why are you asking me this question, sister-in-law? Did second elder offend you? The princess has stopped crying by this point and got serious. As far as I know, everyone within the Demon Council was personally hand-picked by my brother, the only exception being First Elder himself. Their loyalty shouldn't be an issue. Aside from First Elder, now things are starting to make sense to Bai Yen. No wonder Ditsong wouldn't have the Second Elder share the plan with the First Elder. Then, I want to ask you one more thing. Bai Yen faintly closes her eyes like she's afraid to speak the next part. However, it didn't long before she opened them again with a pale complexion. In the demon realm, is there any way for a person to change their looks, including their scent and aura? The princess simply chuckled at that. You must be joking with me, sister-in-law. Changing one's look is easy, but one's smell and aura? That's not possible because it's something we are born with from within. Tightly clenching those fingers into a ball at the cold, hard truth, Bai Yan's expression showed extreme sadness like her soul's been ripped from that body. I see then. Changing one's appearance wasn't an unreasonable thing to do. The human world alone had plenty of people capable of doing just that. But one's scent and aura would never change, even for Bai Yen, regardless of how amazing her alchemy was. Not even she could pull off such a stunt. Well, that's assuming she didn't peel off someone's skin and then wore it as her own, which was impossible lest she becomes a demon like that Qing Shui. What exactly happened, sister-in-law? Tugging at the woman's sleeve, Di Xiaowan appeared to be in distress over Bai Yan's strange behavior. Please don't scare me. My brother had me take care of you. I can't have anything happen to you. That was a mistake. At the mention of Ditsong's name again, Bai Yan's complexion sank. Xiaowan, leave me for now, I want to be alone. She sighs and beckons the other side to leave first. Leave for, Okay. Pinching her lips in discouragement, Di Xiaowan nevertheless did as told and walked towards the door. But just before her departure, the princess didn't forget to cast one final glance backwards. Sister-in-law, if someone tries to harm you in any way, then you must tell me. I will have brother peel their skin for you. I'm fine, so don't worry. Bai Yan manages to force an unconvincing smile. Xiao Wan is very naive, she shouldn't suspect anything. After the demon princess departed and left Bai Yan to her own bidding, the depressed woman's first act was to pull little Rice into her embrace to comb through that soft fur, as if the act alone would be able to comfort that hurt heart. Against the miserable appearance of his mistress and that droplet of tear quickly building up in the corner of those eyes, little Rice naturally grew worried. Little Rice, I've been having many dreams lately. There were you and there were Deetsong. Everything was so real, like it really happened at one point. It was because of those scenes that I wanted to give him a chance to try accepting him. Letting her eyes build up a layer of water, she bites her lip with a pang of frustration plastered on the surface. Me and him, how am I supposed to believe we are fated to be together in two different lives? At first I thought someone had impersonated him by putting on a disguise back there. But you've heard what Xiao Wan said. The little tiger didn't cut in, only licking her hand in an attempt to comfort his mistress with the act. Ha! How stupid of me. I actually hoped that everything was a lie. Xiao Wan may be silly at times, but she is still the princess. Her words are believable. After all, she had lived for hundreds of years already. If there is someone in the demon realm that could change their aura and scent completely, there's no way she wouldn't know. Bai Yan could still believe in Di Xiaowan's word because the girl never snubbed her at all. Not in the past and most certainly not now. However, the story of Deetsong only taking her for the sake of the demon realm. Bai Yan won't deny it. It's bothering her a lot right now in light of being uncertain still. Then what are you planning to do, mistress? Lowering his head, little Rice snuggles himself against her body to further his cuteness. No matter what you do, I will always support you. If you can't give up on Deetsong, then I'm willing to stay with you regardless, mistress. I want to give him a chance. If he can return to me within half a month and explain himself, then I will believe in him. Yes, that's right. Despite everything she's heard or seen thus far, she's willing to give the man another chance. Bai Yan simply refuses to believe all the days they spent together are all fake. Master, I will stay and wait with you then. Wiggling his tiger head against that hand, I saw it with my own eyes of how much he cares for you in the human world. That's why I won't believe it either that he only approached you for the sake of little master. Bai Yan was at a loss on how to respond to that. Slowly closing her eyes, she lets the many events of the past play out within her mind like someone watching it through a lens. Deetsong, I will believe you one last time. As long as you come and give me an explanation within half a month, then I will believe in you. Under the shrouding rays of the moonlight, the mountains in the demon realm are as usual quiet and serene, with the exception of one location. Pacing around anxiously, Qing Shui had a hopeful look in her eyes when a rustling sound from behind caught her attention. How is it? She asked nervously. The man had restored his previous appearance already, a bland face and black hair. Quiet at first against the snake demoness stare, he eventually spoke after giving a faint sigh. Because the king wasn't in the palace and the state teacher being in retreat, I was able to stick one my puppets to figure out the queen's whereabout. Don't call her the queen. She doesn't deserve it. Qing Shui's face sank, clearly dissatisfied with the fact that Bai Yan holds such title. Despite the man wanting to say something again at the demand, he relented and dropped the subject. Qing Shui, I've done the favor you asked of me, and now I must leave before the state teacher comes out. That person will surely become aware of my actions now that I've exposed myself. Leave 5. Qing Shui was absolutely shocked by the news, growing anxious in her voice. How can you expose yourself? If you are gone, then who is going to help me in the future? I have no other choice either. The queen is extremely intelligent. That's why I lured the second elder out to fool her that night. If things continue as is, state teacher would surely discover what I did after he comes out. The man bitterly laughs at himself, frustrated as well by the situation. He knows that there's no way for him to escape death. But even so, a few days was still a few days. It's better than nothing. Second elder? Qing Shui's expression appeared unhappy. I remember the one with the highest position is first elder. Why didn't you look for him instead? You don't understand Qing Shui. The man shakes his head to shut the idea down. First elder is someone that has been around before the demon realm was sealed. He knows far too many things. If it was him that night, I know he would have seen through me. Biting her lip, a venomous light flare out of the snake's eye. I don't care. You must help me. I want that human woman dead. Qing Shui. The demand angered the man and caused him to shout back. Do you understand what you are talking about? That woman you keep mentioning is the queen. The queen. I said it already. She is not the queen I am. Her complexion grew frostily cold at the rebuttal. I will have her dead before I am through with her. In this world there can only be one queen, and that is I, Qing Shui. That human stole my status and destroyed my clan. For that she must die. At this moment, the enraged anger has caused the demoness eye to go bloodshot, indicating how poisonous her heart truly was. Staring blankly at that distorted expression, the man stammers in horror at what has become of his love interest. You've changed, Qing Shui. In order to take the title as queen, you've changed. You weren't like this before. You have to help me. Only you can help me in this world. In light of her further attempt to hide that darkness in those eyes, Qing Shui's soft voice not only didn't help, it only made her twisted appearance even worse. Will you help me? This is for the sake of our friendship. Closing his eyes at that plead, the man makes one final smile of bitter sadness. Fine, I will help you for one last time. Remember, we must finish off that little rabbit as well as the woman. I absolutely refuse to believe the rumors circulating in the air. What only she can give birth to the king's child. I can do it better and more. Smirking in a shady fashion, this demoness didn't even try to hide her cruel nature at all by this point. That's right, I remember the palace has a bunch of powerful shadow guards, correct? This time the man's expression was starting to turn ugly as well. He knows, if he returns to the palace again, then the chances of his escape would diminish immeasurably. Qing Shui, I won't ask for much. Just that you would remember me in the future if I were to die from this. Do not worry, you silly. You've helped me so much, of course I would remember you. Despite the soft, comforting tone this snake used, her heart only sneered with contempt at the other side. Ha! This idiot is so stupid. As if I would remember anyone but the king. Look at him, plain and ordinary. A disgrace of a man. If he wasn't still useful, then I wouldn't even approach him. Being the gullible fool that he was, the man's face grew firm at that affirmation. Okay, I will help you. As long as she can remember me, then what else do I need? A person like me who can never see the light of day has no future. Even if it's just in memory, it's enough. Border of the demon realm. I will give you all another chance. Surrender or face a fate more miserable than death. Standing in the air with his dashing purple robe and silvery hair, the man remains as domineering and surreal as ever. Leave 6. Those below trembled at the threat. They honestly never expected the man to be so overwhelmingly powerful. So what if they are immortal and cannot be killed due to special reasons? Under the man's means, they would taste the flavors of hell for all eternal. Clank. After the surrendering of the first, the rest quickly followed suit and dropped their weapons. Humbly taking to the ground, they shivered in compliance. Greetings to our king. On the side, the red-haired man known as Fire Plume had long been astounded by his lord's magnificence. Aren't you bunch from the celestial realm? How can you bunch be such cowards? What you lot are doing is even below animals. Quit joking around. Twitching in the corner of his mouth, the firebird looks over in awe at Deetsong to speak. Sire, these should be last of them. In a bit we would be able to break the seal as you wish. The dozens of people who appeared before were all too pitiful in terms of strength. That's why Deetsong destroyed them without a second thought. Only this last batch are worthy of getting a glimmer of his attention. Hence the offer to surrender. The man's face appears calm. Yet for some reason his heart's been feeling a little uneasy inside. Fire Plume, did you carry out the task as I instructed? Making a startled expression, the fire bird answers without delay. Sire, are you talking about the matter of informing the queen regarding your brief departure? That's right. This? Making an awkward face. I bumped into the young miss from the Fox clan while on the road, so I had her pass on the message in my stead. What did you say? Deetsong's complexion instantly went dark, his momentum growing direly oppressive. You didn't go back in person to inform my wife or her people? Sire, that lady from the Fox clan. She seemed reliable enough. There shouldn't be anything wrong, right? Damn you. The man grew furious at his subordinate's inability to follow a simple order. Now he finally understood why his heart's been feeling so uneasy lately. Originally, Deetsong assumed his woes were about breaking the seal and the issues that might arise along the way. But now it seems it was all because he's worried about his wife. Now General Fire Plume was starting to panic as well. The unease only amplified once his lord just disappeared from the spot, causing him to realize he just made a huge mistake. It can't be something happened to Her Highness? If it really is because of my mistake and caused the queen to be harmed, then even in death it won't be enough to make up for it. Since that evening where she overheard that conversation, Bai Yan has never stepped out of the White Moon Palace again. Di Xiao Wan of course came a few times afterwards. Unfortunately, the princess was denied entry with no proper reason given. For the one closest to Bai Yan, the little steam bun would not be oblivious to the increasingly strange air hovering around his mother. As such, the boy had stopped playing around lately and kept to himself to accompany the woman at home. Little Rice, has it been 20 days since then? Bai Yan asks after opening her eyes from training. Giving a careful look up at his mistress, the baby tiger weakly answers, It has, mistress. I was only planning to wait for him for 15 days. But now it's been 20 days since then. Making a bittersweet smile, she's clearly disappointed in her voice. And he hasn't shown himself since the coronation ceremony. Mistress? Able to sense the sadness in her heart, Little Rice tries to make up an excuse at times like this. Maybe Deetsong isn't in the palace? I'm betting that one is a fake. Shaking her head at that claim. No, that can't be it. Right from the beginning me and him have had an agreement. He must tell me whenever he takes a long or short leave. But he never came, nor did he send someone back to inform me. There's nothing, not even a letter. Leave 7. Suddenly, Bai Yan's spirit lit up again at a certain thought. Little Rice, I want to ask you one thing. When Deetsong made the contract with me that day, wouldn't he also die if something happens to me? Even though the pair has been locked in with a spiritual contract that taps into their soul, Bai Yan didn't know any of the details surrounding the benefits and demerits of the deal. For example, the man could sense her whereabouts while she herself couldn't. That leaves Deetsong with the upper hand of the exchange. The baby tiger was now openly frowning. Do you want to hear the truth, mistress? Only the truth. Saying it like it's her last saving grace, Bai Yan shows off a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Truth is, a powerful individual can resist the repercussions of a contract when being broken. Unless he wants to die out of personal choice, the effects will at most reduce a large part of his strength with no threatening damage to the individual's life. The woman could actually hear her heart slowly sinking into the endless abyss at what she just heard. I understand. There's no more hope as she closed her eyes then. To think the outcome would be like this by giving out my love for the first time. How laughably ironic. Mother! It was at this moment that Bai Xiachen barged through the door, allowing his tiny body to plow into the woman's body for some nice, intimate cuddles. Against the soft sensation of her son's body, Bai Yan's mood definitely felt a bit better. Son, are you willing to leave the demon realm with me? Dumbfounded by the sudden question, the boy promptly peeked up at his mother's face for some answer. Mother, are you going to leave? I miss your uncle, so I'm intending to leave the demon realm. But what about Batty Father? The boy sounded troubled. It was so hard to coax Mother to come here. If we leave now, then what will Batty Father do? Trembling at the mention, the woman's body immediately shook a bit before tightly wrapping her arms around that small little thing. Son, I want to go home. Let's go home, okay? I can't leave my baby boy here in the demon realm. I will never allow us to be separated. Bai Yen tells herself, afraid of what the other outcome might be if she does. Did Batty Father bully you? The little boy makes a steaming face. I will go find Batty Father now and make him say sorry. Son. In her urgency, the woman tries even harder to stop the boy from leaving. Don't go. Finding how ghostly white his mother's face was at the outburst, the boy grew sad and reflected in his voice. Batty Father picked on Mother, so I don't want him anymore. We will go home and find Uncle. Mistress? The white tiger decides to add in after a moment of hesitation. Do you know how to leave the demon realm? Making a mild smile at that, Bai Yen reveals her plan. I may not know, but Xiaowan does. The princess girl was able to break through the seal and enter the human world before, therefore she definitely has the knowledge. In light of the answer, the baby tiger just snorts like he's not biting the idea. Even if she does know, that Dumbaklutz isn't going to tell us. Otherwise, how else is she going to report back to her brother the king? I have a way for her to tell me. Picking little Rice up from the bed with one hand, Bai Yen leads the way by holding her son with the other for the outside. Let's go, we will go find Xiaowan now. Currently, the demon princess still doesn't know what was awaiting her, or how she's become the target for a very dangerous scheme. In her eyes, there's only the table of delicious food laid out in front. The picture was so moving that tears are starting to coming out. You are the kindest to me, sister-in-law. You actually made all these great food for me. I just discovered that I truly have fallen for you. Smiling at the overly gratified girl there, Bai Yan's mood carried a hint of reluctance. Perhaps it's over the fact that she's about to leave without saying goodbye, or she's taking advantage of the trust the girl had for herself. Nevertheless, the feelings aren't any good. Xiaowan, I have been really curious lately. If the demon realm has been under the effects of a worldwide seal, how did you ever manage to leave in the first place? Leave 8. Scooping up a spoonful of the sugary bird nest soup into her mouth, Di Xiaowan happily spills the details as her cheeks flush a pinkish red from the delectable taste. Of course it's because state teacher told me. Every few years the seal would weaken and leave a tear open. At that moment, one can make it through and travel into the human world. Oh, then does that mean all the residences in this world can have a chance to leave if they so wished it? No, not exactly. Not everyone can leave as they wish. The area of the tear is guarded by state teacher's men. Unless the individual got permission from my brother or state teacher himself, they won't be permitted to leave. But it's different for you, sister-in-law. You are the queen of the demon realm. Everyone must listen to you. Di Xiaowan obviously didn't know the thoughts of the other side and left nothing untold. Nevertheless, a doubtful curiosity did take root in the young maiden's heart. But then again, why are you asking me all this, sister-in-law? Are you going somewhere? Nothing, I'm just curious, that's all. Anyways, you take your time eating, I'll go back first and rest. Giving a stretch, she soon gets up to excuse herself to the wary-eyed princess. Di Xiaowan may not know what's going on, but that doesn't mean she's oblivious to the strange air hovering around the insecure woman. As soon as Bai Yen managed to emerge from the dining hall, the one to first welcome her was the little dragon girl dazing out next to the water stream. Queen! Perhaps able to sense the extra presence, the Missy turns around and cries out the name with the biggest smile ever. Dragoni, would you like to leave with me? Bai Yen reaches over to caress the girl's head and asked. Wherever Queen goes, I will go. There's no falseness in those words, only the naive and innocence of a child that yearns to be with the one she deems kind and true. Okay, let's leave now. Together, hand in hand, the two females walked forward without looking back. Bai Yen did not need to go search far for the location of the tear this time. It's next to the altar where her coronation took place. This was something she investigated prior to asking the princess. And since she herself was the queen of this world, none of the servants or maids attempted to hide the fact. Fortunately, state teacher is in closed-door training lately. Otherwise, leaving will not be as easy. Revealing a bittersweet smile, she was now standing before the open rift leading to the human world. Mistress! Jumping off from those arms, The baby tiger showed a look of suspicious doubt in those eyes. Our luck can't be this good. The rift actually exists and is this close. Wrinkling her brow at that warning. What's wrong? Do you notice something odd about this? Truth was Bai Yen only came to test her luck and see if the tear in the seal still existed. If not, then she would look elsewhere for an opportunity. But to her surprise, though, her luck was just that good, it seems. At the same time in the air, two powerful individuals were exchanging looks of helplessness after witnessing this scene. In the end, they descended to carry out their orders. Greetings, Your Highness. Taking to their knees with respect, they went straight to the point by asking, Queen, are you intending to go to the human world? Bai Yen makes a light nod. Yes, I want to go back to my homeland. Does His Majesty know about this? The man wipes the cold sweat from his forehead, afraid to hear what's to come next. He knows. She lied without blinking an eye. What? Are you doubting me? No, your subject wouldn't dare. The two masters exchanged another look and quickly retreated. Ditsong's speech about Bai Yen being higher in command than himself has already made headlines across the entire demon realm. Therefore, these men would never dare to test that order even if they had 100 lives. Come, let's go. Holding the boy and girl in each, Bai Yen leads the way. Leave, 9. Following from behind. Little Rice was just about ready to jump into the rift when he overheard a hair-raising voice from behind. Hubby? Wait for me, future hubby. Peeking around, the very image of Huang Shaoing the tigress had sent him into a frantic state of panic. Without hesitation, he jumps into the unknown without looking back for a second time due to being scared out of his wits. Miss Shaoing. The two masters originally wanted to block off the young lady. However, what came next left them utterly weak and helpless. That is my hubby. What is the problem in me leaving with my hubby? If the two of you dare to stop me, then I will have my hubby teach you two a lesson after I marry him. Beads of sweat came pouring out of the two's forehead again. That little white tiger is the queen's people. If she marries the tiger, then she too would become the queen's as well. Oh crisis, no. We can't afford to take such risk. Miss, this way please. Making the welcoming gesture, the two masters straightens their back in an orderly fashion. At least you two are smart enough. Cocking her chin in high spirit, Huang Shaoing makes a jump without a speck of fear and disappeared into the rift. Beyond the spatial crack lies another world, a more familiar world to Bai Yen and her boy. Xiachen, we are finally back. Giving her son a hearty hug, Bai Yan's face was all smiles now that they're on familiar grounds. But just before any more could be said, a sudden scream of agony could be heard from Little Rice. When the mother and son pair looked around over to see what's all the fuss was about, they quickly realized why. Lying atop of the baby tiger was another person. An unexpected stowaway. Hubby, are you okay? Hurrying to climb up from the floor, Huang Shaoing asked apologetically. Narrowing those feline eyes of his, the tiger didn't sound pleased at all based on his tone. How come you are here? Marrying a chicken means following the chicken. Marrying a dog means following the dog. Since I've determined you as my future husband, then of course I got to follow you. All gleeful in her voice, the tigress picks up her unfortunate love target to hug him against that bountiful chest like a teddy bear. Resisting to no avail, the poor male cat could only use his words to make idle threats. You damn woman, let me go. If you don't, then I will use my mouth. You, oh hubby. Making a shy and embarrassed face, she wiggles that body like a love-struck maiden would. Please do. I'm already looking forward to that moment when you. That's about as far as that nonsense got. The reasoning, a bunch of people had appeared near them without any indication. Narrowing her eyes over this, Bai Yen was quick to pull her son behind herself for protection. I remember I've already dealt with those who were following me. Why are you people still around? This group are the shadow guards of the demon realm. Ditsong once brought them before her to show. That's why she's able to recognize their identity. So how were they able to trace her location despite the fact that she's also using a specialty drug to hide her aura? Though the effects are short, it should have masked the scent from being discovered. Mother, are these baddie father's people? I can see they're only clones and not their real self. Blinking his baby blue eyes, Bai Xiaqin had a tense look. If they're only clones, then my bloodline won't be able to suppress them. Just like the ancestor from the snake family, the boy's ability was useless due to the lack of flesh. Leave 10. Bai Yan's expression sank as she stared coldly at the group in front, her lips curving into a satirical arc. What is the purpose of your visit? It can't be that you lot are planning to take me back? We have been ordered by the king to kill the queen. Kill the queen. These words were like thundering claps, sending the former into utter shock. The most affected had to be Bai Xiaqin though, because the kid was in open denial now. Impossible, you're spouting nonsense. Batty father loves mother so much. There's no way he would make such an order when he would always toss me aside. Collapsing from within, the little boy's heart hurted so much that tears now painted that once adorable face, making it aching and painful to those who watch. It wasn't just the boy either. Huang Xiaoying was also greatly stunned by the order. There's desperation plastered all over the tigress's appearance because she's aware of these people's identity too. These people really are the shadow guards from the palace. There's no falseness in their words. Only the king can mobilize these people and nobody else. Nobody. Queen, your son is the prince of the demon realm, so we won't be harming him. However, His Majesty's will is to not let you leave. You have two choices. Either return with us or die here today. Although Qing Shui's order to her conspirator was to kill Bai Xiaqin as well, but, regardless of what that venomous bitch wanted, the man still had enough sense to realize the flaw in that plan. If he did order the death of the little prince, it would cause some serious concerns for suspicion. That's he withheld that part of the command and even changed Bai Yan's too. Well, it's not like that person wanted to give mercy, just that he knew Bai Yan wouldn't return no matter what since she's already stepped out of the demon realm. He really said it like so? Did he forget that we are in a contract? If I die, he too will be also greatly damaged by the backlash. The shadow guards were completely amazed and quite frankly taken aback by this piece of information. Nevertheless, it didn't take long for them to recover from the shock. His Majesty is a powerful being. Even if his strength is damaged in the process, it will only take a few days for him to return to normal. Bai Yan clenched her fist until the bones were crunching. So that's the case. The contract never did matter. It was all a ploy to fool me. Mother, he wants to kill you. Batty father wants to kill you. Gradually a dangerous light started to envelop the boy's eye, causing him to take on a more mature and spooky appearance. Why is he doing this? Why did he make such an order? I don't believe this. I won't believe it. Bai Yan's face grew exceptionally dark. Huang Xiaoying, little rice, the two of you are to watch over my son and Dragoni. Gently pushing her son away, she confronts the group in front, ready to begin battling for her freedom. I will come back to the demon realm one day, just that it's not now. With the wind blowing against her pristinely red dress, the majestic appearance of her wardrobe and personal aura gave the woman the perfect air of a royalty. The perfect image of someone that stands at the top of this world, just like her husband. Queen, His Majesty still has feelings for you. As long as you come back with us to the demon realm, then everything can be worked out. The leader of the Shadow Guard furrows his brow, troubled by the impending fight. He never wanted to make a move against the queen. Nevertheless, if he had to choose between a human woman or the man whom he swore loyalty to, it's going to be Deetsong. Mistress? Little Rice looked on worriedly at Bai Yan, causing his young heart to thump with immeasurable pain like it's been stabbed by a needle. Like her man, Huang Xiaoying also refused to believe reality and shook that head in denial. Hubby, what is happening? I don't understand this. Why is His Majesty doing something like this to Her Highness? Ho ho! Little Rice sneered at the question and made a disgusted and disappointed face. Me and Mistress accidentally came across something the king didn't want us to know. That's why we left the demon realm. Originally Mistress still wanted to hear an explanation from the king, but to think that bastard would put out the order to kill. Bai Xiaqin's fury won. Atop of the edge cliff, the pain as the result of the betrayal has long left the woman numb to her core. Apologies then, Your Highness. Drawing their sword, the shadow guards began to move against the woman standing alone in the middle. Since Bai Xiaqin was being protected by Huang Xiaoying against his will, the boy could do nothing but stare lifelessly at the sky with those blood-filled eyes of his highness. Frightened by the boy's state, the tigress clutched down at the kid's shoulder to discover how dreadfully cold and stiff that body was. "Hubby, what is happening with his highness?" She turns to ask the baby tiger, tears quickly filling up those eyes due to the urgency of the situation. Such a lifeless state was something she's never seen in the prince before during the time she's known Xiaqin. He wants to kill mother. He wants to kill mother? If one had taken a closer look, they would have discovered that under the dazed-out appearance of the boy's face, there's in fact a spark of fire slowly spreading across those pupils. "Why?" he mutters, leaving his mind to fall deeper into the darkness until all that he could see were the increasingly pale look of his mother and the group of assailants constantly attacking her. Suddenly, a sword had made a deep strike across Bai Yan's waist, leaving her body bleeding heavily as a result of the wound. Boom! All sounds seemed to have disappeared from the boy's world just then, leaving nothing but his own heartbeat constantly throbbing by his eardrum. "Oh!" Clutching that little head tightly, he lets loose an excruciating scream of terrible pain that caused even the sky to rumble. For the poor birds that has had the misfortune of flying through the area at the moment, the shock wave had completely killed them off by turning their brains to mush. These people, they all deserve to die. Everyone in the demon realm deserves to die. Anyone who hurts mother deserves to die. Then, without so much as another word, Bai Xiaqin had gone silent, in mind and mouth. His eyes were blood red, not in the oppressive or threatening kind. It was the light of carnage and destruction. Destruction for all those whom he deems as an enemy. Son. Supporting her own blood-stained body by using her own sword, Bai Yan attempts to climb up from the ground after fixating her sight on the boy. She still doesn't know why, but there's a strange air around the boy that she couldn't figure out why. It can't be. This is what Xiao Wan meant when he went through an anomaly? Without a pang of cuteness or the voice of a child, the boy's sound echoed like a surreal and omnipotent entity. "You dare to hurt my mother? Die!" Bang! He released an unimaginable amount of pressure, causing even these very powerful shadow guards to lose their stability and courage at contact. "No, this is impossible. How can this be? Our real body isn't even there. How can His Highness's power force our souls to kneel? This is too powerful. Only His Majesty has ever been able to release such strength." Xiaqin. After Bai Yan frantically took a pill to recover some of her strength, the woman's first thought was to run to her son's side to help. Bai Xiaqin's fury, too. Only issue was that she didn't even get the chance to run to Bai Xiaqin's side before the boy's figure disappeared from where he stood and reappeared in front of a shadow guard. With a smack against the forehead, the body of the individual deflates into a ball and makes a splattering sound of ethereal goop being impacted against a rock. "Huang Xiaoying, little rice, help me stop Xiaqin. We can't let him continue like this." Panic now has a stranglehold around Bai Yan's heart, causing her movement to stumble at every gesture. "Mistress, me and Xiaoying can't stop little master." Standing apologetically behind Bai Yan's back, the baby tiger looks on with intense fear over the carnage-driven boy, who looked nothing like the one he's known all these years. Ethereal blood soon stained the entire mountain range as a result of the boy's action. The once cuddly Bai Xiaqin looked nothing like a human anymore. He's a beast, an animal that's completely out for blood and death. That's the form this boy has taken. It's as if there's a demonic monster inside willing to rip the world asunder. But finally, after struggle and effort, Bai Yan's hand did eventually reach over to her son's side, pulling in the flailing boy who somehow didn't attempt to harm herself. This mother embraces her son with all her might like it's the only thing that could possibly stop this bloodbath. And sure enough, the creature may not be able to get a clear look at the person stopping him from the front, but the familiar scent was undeniable. Slowly, his sanity returns and causes that body to freeze over upon recognition. Moat, mother? Is it mother? Yes, this warm, peaceful scent can only be from mother's body. There's no one else. Evoking a genuine smile at the thought, The bloodthirst which once shrouded those eyes gradually dissipated, allowing the adorable Bai Xiachen to return to this world. I looks like I made mother worry. I am sorry. He slowly closes his eyes, feeling the wave of fatigue quickly taking over. Xiachen! Bai Yan's hand jerked into a tight ball, her eyes staring intently at one of the remaining shadow guard who didn't get pulverized to mush yet. I know even if your clone is dead, your main body wouldn't be harmed. So pass on a message to Deetsong for me. The woman's laugh almost fell into a hysteria as tears covered up that face. I don't blame him for using me to save the demon realm, but he never should have gone this far to push us over the edge. I will never forgive him for the rest of my life. Boom! Before any words could be exchanged from the shocked guard's mouth, Bai Yan had already reappeared behind his back and sent a deadly palm strike down from above. Due to being injured from the start, this individual didn't waste much of her energy, thus making it a quick process. However, the bigger problem now lies in caring for her son, which Bai Yan was now feverishly trying to feed her medicinal pills to. Bai Xiachen's Fury 3. Why? Why are none of these pills working? After seeing so many of her medicinal herbs and pills being useless and her son remaining unconscious, Bai Yan's heart finally crumbled after putting on a strong facade for so long. Mistress? Huang Xiaoying gave a pained look at little Rice before landing her eyes on Bai Yan. The prince, he might not make it. After saying that, she then went ahead to give the boy's body a sniff to confirm her thoughts. Shut up. Little Rice grew immensely angry over that remark. Near shouting in his voice, the loyal cat roars out at the girl. Don't say things you don't know. How can little master not make it when he's not even injured? Yes, little master is going to be fine. All he did was to show off his immense power. But, looking at Bai Xiachen's increasingly lifeless appearance, little Rice's tears eventually couldn't hold back and begun pouring out as he jumped on top of the boy. Little master, you wake up, I beg of you. If you do, then I won't take your snacks anymore. I will give you all of the delicious food and I won't say anything to rebuttal you again. Please don't scare us and wake up. Okay? Sobbing and making a wailing cry now. Your father have already abandoned mistress. Without you, what will mistress do? What will I do? Bai Yan's distress wasn't so dramatic. Nevertheless, her distraught face and the piles of empty bottles on the floor was more than enough to show how desperate this mother was inside. Mistress, can't you see what's wrong with little master? Little Rice's eyes were laced with red due to his intense emotion running through his veins. Bai Yan did not answer his words, only allowing her fingers to touch the boy's face before muttering to herself. Xiachen is my world. If he is gone, then I will subvert the entirety of the demon realm even if it means sacrificing my all. Mistress, wiping some of his flowing tears, I will join you. If anything happens to little master, I will get revenge with you. Swoosh, 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 it was then a group in black suddenly lands from above, thus surrounding Bai Yan and her group once again. Mistress, they are puppets. Little Rice fiercely eyed the uninvited guests with wariness. Fully aware of the unexpected newcomers by now as well, Bai Yan slowly closes her eyes knowing full well what awaited and got up. You take care of Xiachen while I handle them. Mistress, then you? Shaking in his heart, the baby tiger needed no more elaboration since things have come this far. These puppets are far more powerful than the ones at the market. To think Deetsong would really not let mistress go and send even more people at us. At the order of the king, we are here to slay the queen and prince. The middle-aged man of the group stepped forward and loudly announced their reasoning for coming. Over that proclamation, Bai Yan's hand reflexively clutched harder against the handle of her sword. He wants to kill Xiachen? Yes, since the queen and prince aren't willing to return to the demon realm with us. His Majesty has decided to sentence the both of you to death. The middle-aged man said it with a blank expression. Of course, a puppet had no emotions to begin with, so of course there wouldn't anything extra on the face. Little Rice promptly jumped up and roared. You lie. The demon realm had prophesied that no one except mistress can give him a child. Does he want to be forever without an heir? Ha! The puppet grinned and scoffed a laugh. The queen knows too much. Without the existence of this woman, the prince wouldn't willingly stay in the demon realm anyways. Chu Yifeng? 1. Ha 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 ha. Bai Yan's sudden laughter bordered on the line of madness. Just that this time she didn't shed any tears compared to her last. So that's how it is. So that's the reason he wants to kill me and my son? In that case, then the scenes I saw in my mind aren't worth mentioning anymore. Dizong is obviously not the one from that time, so of course his feelings aren't the same either. Kill! Dropping only this order, the group of assailants rushed their target without any more wasted words. They are puppets, and puppets need not speak less they are purposefully ordered to. Once again, the scent of battle now blankets this mountain cliff. Xiaoying, tigress, you take care of little master. I will go help mistress. Little Rice roared and enlarged his body into a massive structure, giving him ample body weight to slam into the nearest attacker. No and oh. For Dragony, who has been forgotten during most of this fighting, the poor girl could only hide herself to one side with horror as the fight unfolded for the second time. The little Missy wanted so dearly to help. Then when a blade was about to run through Bai Yan's heart from behind, that's when the dragon girl finally lost it and went blank in the head. Transforming into her bestial form, Dragony made a hard dash over to the one she wishes to protect and rips the sword-bearing assailant a new one across the shoulder. Hoo! You bad people aren't allowed to harm the queen. The pain should have been excruciating, more than enough to stop any foe. Sadly, the attacker didn't even flinch upon losing an arm and continued with the strike at Bai Yan's heart. All of a sudden, a rumbling sound cuts down from the sky during the critical moment, letting the thunder strike at the puppets from all direction. Nothing but puppets, begone. The voice may be soft and mellow, yet it was more damaging than even the lightning strikes from above because the puppets were instantly annihilated by the shockwave and vaporized from existence. Chu Yifeng. Upon realizing what has happened in mere seconds, Bai Yan's first instinct was to look up at the dark, gloomy clouds that now covered the sky. White-robed, magnificent and surreal like a painting, this familiar figure should have brought warmth and security to the woman down below. However, you are not Chu Yifeng. Who are you? The man in the air may be extremely similar to Chu Yifeng, mostly the face and stature, but the air around the man was far too different. The former had a warm and kind air, while the latter that's present had a cool and untouchable presence. But more than anything else, Chu Yifeng had dark black hair, while the man up top had pristinely white hair of silvery color. God! Note: I could have used the Chinese pinyin for the dude's name instead, but it would have wrecked the point of his name. Pretty dead giveaway on what the author has planned for the dude. What? My name is Chu Yi God. You can call God is fine. The anger from the man's face retracts quite a bit upon facing Bai Yan's gaze. Despite this fact, Little Rice didn't let down his guard. The baby tiger in his new and much bigger form now stands ready beside his mistress's side for any signs of danger from the new foe. To be fair, Chu Yi God didn't do anything that should warrant such distrust from their group. Just that the tiger has an aching feeling the man's up to no good. Bai Yan didn't care much about her savior's name, nor about the fact that he looked so much like the other person because she only has her son in mind. Seconds after the introduction, she returns her gaze and turned around to ask, "Where's Xiachen? Mistress?" Huang Xiaoying shakily offers up her hand. "His Highness is here." Taken aback by the gesture from the girl, Bai Yan stares wide-eyed at the tigress's hand. She could see a silvery little fox currently asleep on there. Chu Yifeng? 2. I don't know how it happened either, mistress. His Highness just suddenly recovered and became like this. Huang Xiaoying's tears up and looked up at Bai Yan with a pitiful face. Xiachen. Running over fast, the woman carefully receives the little fox into her own hands and allows the warmth to reinvigorate that heart. Son, are you okay? It's unsure when, but the breathing that was lost on the boy has now recovered. It's fine even if he's back to this form. As long as he's okay, then I can accept anything. Bai Yan murmurs this to herself, relieved everything turned out all right. His body is suppressing a thing inside. Just now, because of the shock, he nearly lost control and allowed that thing to take control, Fortunately, he managed to push back in the nick of time. That's why he's now back to his original form after exhausting all his energy. Coming down from above, the man known as Chewy God moves like the wind, disappearing and reappearing in front of the group after taking only a step. My son is suppressing a thing inside his body? How come I never noticed it before? Bai Yan's brow furrowed into a knot at the revelation. This thing is closely related to him. If used well, it may become the biggest support for his growth. The man spells out the details with mild indifference. That was until he gazed down at the woman next to him though. Then how do I help my son recover? Asked Bai Yan with a frown. The Misty Fairy House has a seed. It's a kind of blood vine. If you bring the seed to him and have the boy take it, then the effects will help him recover. Misty Fairy House? Her embrace tightens a tad bit, allowing the little fox to hit against her breast for security. I understand then. I will set out for the Misty Fairy House immediately. But before then, is my son in any danger? No, his life will not be in any danger. But there's one problem. He will always remain as a fox and unable to speak in human tongue less he takes that seed. The stranger then gazes down at the little guy that's protected by his mother's arm with a look of pity. By this point, Bai Xiachen have already regained his consciousness as well, and as a form of comfort, the fox kept licking his mother's palm to indicate he's fine and will be okay. Seeing this, Bai Yan naturally sighed a breath of relief until she looked over to the man again. Wrinkling her brow, Chewy God, have we met before? Mistress, did you lose your head or something? He looks almost exactly like Sir Yifeng, do you not see that? Little Rice rolls his eyes at the obvious. Mistress actually asked such a stupid question. Humph. No, except from that reason I feel like I should know him. Bai Yan frowns even harder and stared at the stranger inquisitively. Showing a slightly startled face, the man smiles and answered with a shake of his head. We never met each other until now. Then can I ask you a favor? Not being bashful at all in her request. There's a contract within my body. I would like you to help me remove it. This time it wasn't just a startled look. It's a surprised look in the man. Pondering the idea for a moment, he slowly nods. All right, I will help you. Demon Realm. All was well and calm right now until Deetsong's return from the border. Where is she? Where is my wife? He angrily roars out at the servant and maids. Due to Bai Yan never stepping out of her White Moon Palace lately, none within the estate were able to recognize that their queen has already departed. For the man who rushed back in haste, his urgency and panic-stricken heart was now at an all-time high. It didn't help either when the contract between them both has lost contact about an hour ago. What's wrong, brother? Sister-in-law should be at the White Moon Palace. Dare frame the queen? 1. Upon hearing this, Deetsong didn't even wait another second before rushing towards the White Moon Palace where the doorkeepers were completely caught off guard by their king's arrival. Blowing through door after door, what welcomed this man was nothing more than an empty room. There's no one, no cat, no boy, and most importantly, not his wife. If there were anything, it's the faint scent of the occupants that lingered in the air, indicating they've left a while ago. The rest that quickly came afterwards were absolutely stunned by this empty picture. They wanted to speak and say something, but Deetsong already beat them to the punch by gripping onto a soldier's collar. Where did my wife go? The air of a beast now shrouds over the man. Sire? The guard quivered in terrible fright. The queen left the White Moon Palace about an hour ago. She never returned since then. About an hour? Blinking her eyes, Di Xiaowan turned to her brother to explain the oddity from recent days. Brother, I remember sister-in-law's mood wasn't very good lately. Maybe she's out to relax and will return soon. Scram! The Deetsong roared, slamming the victim in his hands down to the floor and making a noticeable impacting sound. Scrubbing his hair until it's a mess, he showed pain and panic in those eyes. She won't come back. I can feel it inside. That's impossible. Di Xiaowan shakes her head disbelievingly. Sister-in-law wouldn't leave the demon realm. How can she? She cares for brother so much. How can she just abandon us like this? Di Xiaowan. Suddenly, a raging cry snapped out at her from the man. Tell me what happened. Why did she leave me? Did I not do enough? Am I not good enough? Due to the intensity of his emotions, Song could barely keep his stance and would wobble like an unstable toddler. It seems that the departure of Bai Yan has crushed his whole world. My king, I know why the queen would leave. It was then when all the rest were too shocked or stunned to say another word. A very beautiful girl walked out from the crowd. She was a cold one, holding everyone else in contempt aside from when her eyes laid upon Song's existence. You said you know why my wife would leave? Pinning his bloodthirsty gaze over to the unknown woman. The man's look was the same as someone watching a dead man walking. Qing Shui of course shuddered at this. Nevertheless, her inner desire won the better of her fear and walked forward anyways to kneel before the man. Your Majesty, I inadvertently heard a dialogue between the queen and the prince the other day. There is a mortal man by the name Chu Yifeng in the human world. She did not want to leave that person, so she took the little prince and left with him. When spouting those lies, that slithering mouth of hers couldn't resist a smug grin like that of someone winning a fight. As far as the demon realm and the occupants here are concerned, Bai Yan's affair there remains the biggest secret, with only her closest friends and relatives knowing the details. However, there are certain parties who do know, specifically Qing Shui's accomplice, who secretly sent some of his puppets to follow that foolish Qing Luan to the human world from before at the behest of this snake. Qing Shui and Qing Luan may be sisters, but that doesn't mean they are of one heart. They both dearly wanted Song's favor, so some competition was to be expected. Just as this woman was feeling extremely proud of herself, something totally unexpected occurred. A hand had reached over to grip her by the throat, causing Qing Shui to croak until she realized that intense glare meeting her eyes. The people of the snakes dare to frame my wife? You think I would believe your nonsense? Dare frame the queen? 2. Qing Shui's frantically flailing to free herself now, leaving those eyes sinking in from fear. Sire, I didn't lie. I know that your Majesty is very angry right now due to this unfortunate information I'm giving. But for your sake, I am willing to take the risk of exposing the queen. Think about it. If I didn't hear it from the queen's own mouth, then how can I know about Chu Yifeng's name? Bang! Without letting that foul tongue to utter another word, he slams her straight to the cold, hard floor and allows those cruel eyes to gaze downward. You think I wouldn't know if my wife would have another man? Don't think for a second I would allow some random nobody to malign and slander her name. King! Raising her head to look up, Qing Shui's whole body trembled with intense fear as her face turned ghastly white. How can this be? Under normal circumstances, wouldn't a man be furious after hearing their wife cheated on them? Moreover, that damn human is already gone. How can His Majesty be so logical at a time like this? Why? Why is this happening? Likely not satiated yet from the act, Song stomps his bone-crunching foot straight down at the snake's stomach, causing the very air to leave that lung. Sire, I really didn't lie. In this entire world, only I am worthy of being by your side. An unclean and filthy entity like that doesn't deserve to be. But before her words could be completed, Song's feet had stomped down for a second time, causing such excruciating pain that it literally left her speechless. Have her restrained for later disposal. The man coldly orders the guard. And go bring me the young miss from the Fox clan. Young miss of the Fox clan? Everyone was confused and startled by the request. Is the queen's departure related to the girl? Unlike everyone who only showed surprise at this though, Di Xiaowan's eyes were practically spewing fire. If the truth does come to light as to who caused Bai Yan to leave without a word, this princess would surely rip them to shreds this time around. Not long after, 2 guards had returned with the young lady in question. As a result of the serious air around the place, the girl didn't need any persuasion to realize this was no simple audience, rather an interrogation. Your subject greets your Majesty. She quickly gets to the knee and pays her respect. Fire Plume, had you go inform the queen of my message before? Did you do that? Song's fist could be heard making a crunching sound as he spoke. Ha! The girl blinked her eyes, clearly confused by the question. But Majesty, I never met General Fire Plume before. What? Having a drastic change in his expression. The fire bird immediately rushed over to give the lady a good desperate sniff. And sure enough, the answer he got from this was enough to turn that face into a look of horror. Turning around like a rigid robot. "Sire. This one. She's not the one I met from before at the mountain. It looks like her scent is a little different." Poor guy, the red man was so scared that he could cry right now because he knows the blunder lies entirely on him. For one, when he met this young miss from the Fox clan from way back when he first came to the demon realm, he was at a far-off distance, so he couldn't really get a clear smell of her scent. Then when the incident up at the mountains occurred where he had Qing Shui pass on the message, the encounter was too brief and short, making it impossible for him to confirm anything. Getting down to his knees in a begging position. "Sire, the fault is entirely on my shoulders. Please punish your subordinate for being incompetent." "Brother." Di Xiaowan abruptly jumps over after recalling something. "I remember now. Sister-in-law was acting really weird about 20 days ago. She was going to look for you, but when she returned, her entire person's changed for some reason. Also, she asked some very odd questions too." Di Tsong's gaze finally moved from the red man to his own sister. "Sister-in-law asked me if second elder is loyal. Dare frame the queen?" 3. The whole crowd has fallen quiet after the princess's word. Why should the queen ask if second elder is loyal? Why didn't she ask about the other elders, instead it's only him? It can't be. The queen's departure is related to second elder himself? Di Tsong's gaze darkens into a grim look. "Have second elder come see me this instant." Inside the residence of the Elder Council. The man that's known as second elder has been feeling a little uneasy lately ever since his meeting with that fake king. "Old two, what's the matter?" The first elder tightly furrows his brow and asked his peer. They've been working together for many years, so how could he not tell the other side's been keeping some secret? Startled at first, the second elder answers honestly after a brief struggle. "It's about the queen's matter." "The queen?" The first elder's brow wrinkled into a deep frown now. "What happened to Her Highness?" After being silenced for so long, it's normal for a person to want to share their woes. 20 days ago, His Majesty the King summoned me, ordering me to have my people tail the queen in secret. Taking a sip from his tea, the first elder didn't find this odd or surprising. In fact, his reaction appeared pleased even. "That's to be expected. Sire is so concerned for Her Highness that it's normal for him to be worried about her safety. But that's where you are wrong, my brother. His Majesty personally told me he only married the queen for the sake of the demon realm's safety and to bring the little prince back with him. Also, for the prosperity of this world, he's willing to sacrifice any women, including his wife the queen." Clack! The sound of porcelain crashing to the floor could be heard reverberating across the air due to First Elder dropping that teacup. "Are you sure that is His Majesty and not some fake?" "I am sure. That person, whether it be appearance or scent, it's exactly as His Majesty's. A person's image can be changed and disguised. But what about the scent?" "Impossible. This is absolutely impossible." The first elder promptly got up, his hand clenching into a ball. "Something is not right about this. It's impossible for His Majesty to give you such an order. That man, he would rather abandon the entire demon realm for the sake of the queen." Showing astonishment, the second elder asks for more details as to why his brother would say that. "But First Elder, how can you be so certain that the king would be that infatuated with the queen? In this world, no two people can have the same scent. That's not possible." "I don't know what's going on, but I do know His Majesty would never do what you say he did. Although he was still young back then, but he's heard more than enough stories about those two. Thus reinforcement his belief even at this stage. This won't do, I have to see His Majesty. I must get a clear answer." The first elder sounded very flustered and emotional, causing those old eyes to show a look of incredulity. "There's no way I would believe what I'm hearing unless it comes directly from the king himself." The second elder now sounded anxious. "But sire ordered me not to tell anyone. If you bring this up before him, then he would surely kill me for it. I can't deliberate about this anymore. I have to see the king." The first elder's brain was a total blank right now, causing him to not take in his peer's plea at all. But just this old man's about to walk out the door from the hall. Two guards suddenly appeared and blocked his way. The king's order, second elder, is to go meet his majesty this instant. Still unable to recover his emotions yet, the first elder continues to lose it. I want to see the king. I want to go see the king with him. State teacher's beating 1. The guards were extremely polite to the two elders and made an inviting gesture. Elders, please this way. The first elder didn't struggle or anything. After all, he's the one that wants to go despite not being invited. However, this wasn't the case for the second elder. The old man in the background grew even more flustered and didn't know what to say or do. At the end, after much pondering, the second elder could do nothing but to run out after the first. He knew there's no way to avoid this. When the two first arrived at the White Moon Palace, they quickly discovered that there were a lot of people present and their eyes were all cast over to their direction. It was giving the two seniors very strange vibes, especially from Di Xiao, one who was clearly seething with anger like a beast ready to tear them up. Majesty! Due to how emotional the first elder was, he promptly pushed the second elder aside to make his own audience. But upon meeting Di Tsong's murderous gaze upon turning around, any word the senior wanted to say were squashed. He didn't know how to take in the situation. Where is my wife, the queen? The man's voice was dreadfully cold as he eyed both seniors now that they are here. I will give only this one chance. The second elder looks up in confusion after taking to the knee. Didn't His Majesty instruct me not to divulge the doings of Her Highness? Why is he asking me in front of so many people? Fire Plume! Di Tsong roars. Take him outside and beat him to death with the rod. The red man shuddered at the command, his eyes showing a glimmer of panic. The Birdman knows enough that once the matter with the second elder was finished, he would be next in line. However, this loyal follower also understands that this whole situation with Bai Yen leaving mainly lies in him for not carrying out the order as told. If there's any punishment to be had, he would take it without rejection. Sire! Seeing how Fire Plume's about to carry himself away, the second elder finally fell into a huge panic, hurrying to speak. But it was you who had me send my people out to monitor Her Highness, did you not? You also told me not to tell the public. I did as you instructed, but last night my people went missing and now I don't know where the queen is after her disappearance. Bang! Di Tsong's fist directly made a hole in one of the granite tables here in the garden. You continue, making a heavy gulp at the scene. The second elder nevertheless continues his story despite the unease. Did you forget, sire? About 20 days ago you summoned me to the mountains. There you gave me the order to monitor the queen and all her actions. 20 days ago? The complexion in Fire Plume's face could only be called horrific in how dreadfully pale it had become. He's been with the king the entire time. If he thought back to 20 days ago, Di Tsong should still be at the border fighting with those from the celestial realm in charge of guarding the seal. In that case, who could have summoned the second elder? Sire, you also told me that you have no feelings for the queen, claiming she's only a mortal woman who gave birth to your son. You also told me she's an unclean person who's been keeping contact with another man from the human world, and that you only promised her everything thus far is to get her to willingly marry you. The second elder bowed his head deeply in fear at this stage. The old-timer doesn't understand what or why he's being told to say everything in public, but once opened he's not going to stop because the pent-up frustration inside him has reached a boiling point as well. In particular is when you said the demon realm is especially important to you. In comparison to sacrificing a single woman, you would do it without a second thought. And there's another part. You told me that if the queen dares to leave this place, you would have her not be able to see the little prince again in this entire lifetime. Boom! The man was so angry now that his oppressive aura was now openly seeping out, causing everyone within the White Moon Palace to feel like they've been thrust inside hell itself. Step by step, the Di Tsong's murderous figure has come before the shivering elder responsible for the misunderstanding. The poor senior didn't even dare to look up, only staring straight at the floor like it's the only way it could keep his sanity in check. State teacher's beating, too. When did I call you? When did I give you this order? Just as the two elders were ready to collapse from the suffocating air, The man's grim voice causes them to flinch and regain their attention to the fullest. But sire, the person who summoned me really was you. I don't know why you are saying this right now, but have you demonized? Note: I just made up the word because there's no actual direct translation for demon madness in English. Of course, the last bit there could never be said aloud even if both elders were to be given a second life. I remember it now, brother. Di Xiaowan's face revealed a flicker of light in those eyes. About 20 days ago, sister-in-law also asked me something else. She was wondering if it's possible for someone to forge one's scent in the demon realm. Of course, I told her what I knew and that it's impossible to do that. It can't be. She overheard the conversation. Like a knife, Di Tsong's cold sweeping glare in the next moment instantly shuts the girl up, forcing the princess to shiver in nervous unease. Did I say something wrong? No, it can't be. That couldn't have been His Majesty. Fire Plume's voice sounded frantic. Sire have left the palace for over a month. Whoever it was 20 days ago couldn't have been His Majesty. This is all my fault. If I had returned as instructed and passed on the message in person, then none of this would have happened. The second elder now showed a look of death. Due to the intense fear he was feeling inside, the senior could hardly control his muscles and kept convulsing like a dying animal. First elder, go investigate this immediately. I want to know who is impersonating me and how he is managing such a feat. Di Tsong felt like he's being brutally stabbed by a knife right now, leaving his heart all bloodied and mashed up in pain. Yen Yen did hear those lies, then what would she think about me? It must have been utterly disheartening. As long as the picture of Bai Yan's face being in despair continued to surface with his head, then Di Tsong would continue to ache inside. The condition grew so bad that this man could hardly breathe. Sire, I seem to remember something. The second elder raises a point suddenly. At the time, the fake mentioned the name of a man called Chu Yifeng from the human world. Can this be related to that person? Whether or not this matter has any relationship to Chu Yifeng couldn't be proven, however. There was one individual who knew exactly who the man was and why it couldn't be. Dashing over to Qing Shui, Di Xiaowan shoot fire from her eyes. Speak now, you bitch! Who is the one who impersonated my brother? If you don't tell me, then I will make it so you wish you were dead. It was hard enough for brother to finally win over Bai Yan. Now it's all ruined because of these bastards. Whether it be Qing Shui, Fire Plume, or Second Elder, I won't let any of them off. Under that snapping roar, the snake demoness could no longer contain fear in her eyes. Then, out of misdirected hope, this stupid woman actually had the audacity to turn to Di Tsong for help. However, what welcomed this foolish being was an even more frightening glare that instantly shuts her down into the form of a desperate attempt at fainting. Pa! Not to be fooled. The demon princess didn't hold back at all and made a loud smacking sound from that slap, screaming like a ferocious animal. Quit acting dead! If you don't tell the truth this instant, then I will poke holes into that body of yours before pouring a bucket full of blood-sucking grasshoppers on the wound. I will relish as you watch yourself be turned into a dry husk. The very thought of that vicious scene was more than enough to break the act. Hurrying to plead for mercy with those lies, the snake bangs her head repeatedly. I am really innocent. I only heard that name from the queen's mouth. You must believe me, princess. State teacher's beating 3. Even up to this point, the woman is still being stubborn in the mouth. In a fit of rage, Di Xiaowan sends another series of slaps across that hateful face, causing it turn into a bulging mess of purplish bruises that oddly resembled a pig's face. Move! When the demon princess wanted to send more punishments along the way after 2 more heavy stomps, she was interrupted when Di Tsong's cold, gloomy voice came from behind. Going stiff at the sound, Qing Shui raises that head in hopeful surprise. I just knew His Majesty isn't so heartless. He's defending me, so he must have feelings for me. Sire, I am fine, so don't blame the princess. Struggling to support that aching body, the snake attempts to make a shy and embarrassed face. However, what she managed to force out resembled nothing of a tempting beauty, only a repulsive and disgusted face of a dead person. And as a final blow to shatter that illusion in the stupid bitch's head, Di Tsong's next wave of the hand summons an electrifying cage out of thin air and thrust it downwards. Terrific screams promptly escaped the lung of the snake caused by those jolting bolts. Ah! Out of fear for her life, the woman heavily rattles the cage to no avail. "Let me out of here!" As if to meet that plea, the bars ignited as surge of currents blew those fingers back and forced the snake to back off again. Bolt after bolt, lightning after lightning, the execution of cindering thunder kept smashing down no matter the cries for help. In the end, what remained was nothing more than a charred creature of undiscernible image. It doesn't move because of the excruciating pain. I will not say it for a second time, who was impersonating me while I was away. It's... The remaining flicker of light in Qing Shui's pupil finally dies away, just as her tongue's about to spill the bean on the man due to intense horror in her heart. A light voice once again came from the outside and cut in on the commotion. "It seems that something big has indeed taken place in the White Moon Palace. Someone mind piecing me in on what's going on here?" It was a man wearing a moon-colored robe of silvery white. Matched that with the fairy-like smile. The air he gave off was a gentle breeze independent of this world. The first to cry out had to be Di Xiaowan, for she immediately recognizes the voice. "State teacher? My sister-in-law and nephew is missing." Arching his brow at the news, the man known as state teacher slowly came before Di Tsong and made a genuine smile. "Sire, I've been in closed-door training lately, so I'm not so up-to-date on the situation. Mind telling me some more details so I can help in search of Her Highness?" In this palace of the demon realm, only this charismatic man could gain some level of respect before the king. Retracting some of his bloodthirst from the eyes, Di Tsong reverts back to his calm demeanor. "Before that, I want to ask state teacher one question. Do you know of a method to forge one's scent? If so, how would we go about finding this impersonator?" The state teacher suddenly breaks out into a hearty laugh at the question. "It seems I've been discovered. I did use a special method to forge a substitute for you several hundred years ago. This individual is meant to be used against God when the time comes. Aside from me, no one is able to differentiate the difference in Hat person, including those from the celestial realm and God himself. But sire, how did you come to learn of the substitute?" Not letting the idiot say another word, Di Tsong was done and directly sent the heaviest punch he could muster across the ignorant bastard's face. Dumbfounded by the sudden assault, the state teacher looks up from the floor after falling from the blow. What met his eyes were the furious gaze of the king, who was seething with rage. "So it was you." Di Tsong's fist continues to make a crunching sound due to the intense anger he felt. State teacher's beating for... "What is me?" The state teacher looked utterly clueless as to what's happening. All he knew was that the king's furious for some reason and gave him a heavy smack across the face in the next. Right now, that pretty cheek held 5 fingerprints. The unfolding event instantly sends both elders and Fire Plume to the ground into a prostrating position. In all seriousness, the fear within the trio has now become overshadowed by embarrassment for being deceived by a fake. Xiao Wan. The state teacher turns around and faces the demon princess, who appeared livid at him. "This? What's happening? If it weren't for you, then my sister-in-law and nephew wouldn't have left the demon realm." All flustered in her face, the princess resentfully eyes the other side with all her might. Her Highness left the demon realm? The state teacher was left shocked there. He had heard earlier that the queen disappeared, but his idea revolved around taking a breather outside the palace and not leaving the demon realm entirely. Can't be. Does it have something to do with that one? State teacher. The second elder anxiously wipes some of the sweat from his forehead. "The substitute you created was impersonating His Majesty while he was away, and even said some very disrespectful things to the queen. Her Highness likely got misled by the lies and is now gone." The expression on the state teacher's face just went green at the revelation. "No wonder they are so angry at me. I really deserved this punch." "State teacher?" Di Xiaowan sarcastically smirked at the other side. "Aren't you all powerful? Why are you always prophesizing about my brother when you can't even predict what your creations would do? Did you not foresee the trouble he would cause?" Stumped for a proper response, The state teacher twitches in the corner of his mouth at being mocked. Making a long sigh, "You are right. This is totally my fault for being careless. I deserve to be punished for this if that's what you wish. Why didn't you tell my brother about making a substitute?" Not satisfied yet, the princess begins to lose control entirely. "If my brother knew, then he could have told my sister-in-law, then none of this." Hanging that head in utter shame, the state teacher didn't have the face to look up. If the king knew, do you think he would allow the substitute to continue to live? Considering the level of pride the king has, he would never allow such a person to exist. This includes the fact that the substitute only existed to die in his stead. If not for this reason, I wouldn't have had to hide that person for so long either. Full of blood in his eyes now, Ditsong glares murder at the one responsible. "I will settle this score with you later. Now, I'm giving you 1 hour to bring me that substitute, otherwise you can disappear for good." "All right, I will bring him here right away." Cupping his hand in compliance, the state teacher didn't dare to say more and hurried for the main doorway. With the person gone and out looking for the instigator, the area has once again fallen quiet with only the second elder shivering there by himself. The senior wanted to seek help from the first elder. Unfortunately for him, the older one didn't want to help and turned away like the rest on the side. If it wasn't this stupid thing being used by that substitute, then Her Highness wouldn't have left the palace. Di Xiao Wan. The man's harsh voice instantly sends a shudder down the princess's back. Turning around rigidly, "Did you call for me, brother? Yan Yan's departure is also your fault." Though less bloodthirsty, those eyes still gave off a frosty look that nearly caused the girl to collapse to the ground. "Oh, I'm screwed now. I really didn't know one's scent can be impersonated." State teacher's beating 5. "I know my wrong, brother." She wipes a trickle of tear from agitation. "I will not be such a loud mouth anymore in the future. I am still useful, so please don't kick me out." "Oh right, I can help you recover your wife, I can go look for my nephew, I can do a lot of things." Ditsong's gloomy gaze continues to loom over the frightened critter, causing that presence to grow more menacing and scarier by the second. "If it wasn't for Yan Yan's directive of me treating you better, I would have hit you as well by now." Shaky in the legs over that remark, the poor princess nearly lost her heart. "Thank goodness I have a protective sister-in-law. As long as she's here, then brother wouldn't hit me." "Fine, I need you to carry out your words from earlier then." "What?" Confused by the sudden request, Di Xiao Wan didn't quite get that last bit. "You said it, didn't you? You are going to poke many holes into her body and pour blood-sucking grasshoppers on them." Ditsong's voice grew dreadfully threatening as he laid out his demands. "This matter requires you to complete, and I also want you to bring back several black bears that are in heat." All shocked in that dainty face of hers, "What does brother plan to do with the bears?" "Can't be. But the black bears are such powerful animals. If they and Qing Shui go at it, then, oh gracious goodness." Just imagining the nasty picture of the snake being ravaged by several black bears and their thick slimy rods was enough to make this princess want to puke. "Then after her death, I want you to take her soul to the Demon Mountain. She will join June Ruching in the eternal flame I constructed until Yan Yan returns with me to decide her fate. This one will not pass on until my wife says so." Qing Shui's complexion had turned abysmally white at this stage. The pain created by the lightning bolts constantly striking down at her body surely hurts, but it's nothing compared to the knife-wrenching agony made by those words from the very man whom she idolized. Why is Bai Yen so lucky when we are both females? Everything good falls onto her and I ends up like this? This is unfair. The world is unfair." Just as the resentment grew to a new height within Qing Shui's heart, that's when she saw the charismatic state teacher returned with another soul in tow. This latter looked very ordinary in terms of appearances. However, the scent coming off of this man smelled exactly like Ditsong's, indicating he's the impersonator. "Sire, this is the substitute that I created in the past. If he changed his appearance, then it's safe to say no one would be able to tell the difference unless I was present. I'm actually quite surprised he would continue to stay in the palace until I found him just now." After the explanation, the state teacher immediately shifted his gaze over to Di Xiao Wan in search of forgiveness. Ditsong needed no more words right now. Moving at a speed so fast that none could even catch his shadow, this enraged demon lord went straight for his target's throat, lifting the guy up into the air with one hand. "Speak! Why did you frame me?" Those eyes radiated the most menacing and cruel light that anyone has ever seen thus far, to the point where it's affecting the souls of those around. The ordinary man didn't answer, only shifting his attention over to Qing Shue's cage, where he forces down that gushing emotion. Sure, his face was still pale and indifferent, but those hands were already bound into a ball. "Because I love the queen and want to provoke dissension between you two. Since things are out in the open now, go ahead and kill me if you like." Closing those eyes, the substitute no longer makes eye contact. "Even if I die, I won't throw Qing Shui out to them." Ditsong's laughter continues to be cruel and dangerous, just that this time that sinister cackle sounded somewhat delirious. "You still refuse to say the truth, eh? Xiao Wan, go do what I told you to that snake. Killing someone is my specialty, brother. I will be sure to make this bitch wish she was dead than to be alive." Rubbing those hands as she walked over to the cage, the demon princess's encroaching figure was like a hammer in a coffin to the substitute. "Never give up on you, one." Following every word of the demon princess, the substitute would grow more distressed and flustered inside. Nevertheless, the person restrains himself, for he knew any form of reaction would only harm the one he wants to protect. Then, from out of the blue after some time, Fire Plume had returned to the White Moon Palace after sneaking away without notice. In his hand was a leash constraining a ferocious-looking bear that kept salivating. "Princess, this black bear is a criminal of the bear family. It is said that countless mother bears were killed by this one in the act, causing the bear clan to grow furious and sending him over to the punishment hall. Though that snake is no longer lookable on the surface, I'm sure this guy wouldn't mind after being deprived for so long. Right now, Fire Plume only has redemption in his bird brain. Therefore, when his head remembered there's a black bear right in the palace awaiting trial, his first instincts were to run off for the dungeons. Isn't this Qing Shui in need of a man? Fine then. Let's have her get a taste of this black bear less. She keeps thinking about the king and causing the queen to leave." Waving the guards to move, Di Xiao Wan immediately gives her order. "Open the cage and put the black bear in there." Now turning back to her brother with puppy eyes. "Brother, can you turn down the lightning bolts a little? Otherwise we won't be able to get a good look at the show." Bang! The cage suddenly flies into the sky, giving the captive inside a breath of fresh air and some much-needed relief. However, what's awaiting Qing Shui was something far crueler of a torture. "Ah!" A cry of despair pierces the substitute's eardrum, sending that already flustered heart into a panic. The goddess of his heart was being tarnished by a black bear right in front of his face. This could only be called a form of extreme cruelty for any man. "No!" Finally unable to hold back anymore, the person struggles to climb up from the ground to only be firmly pressed against the floor in the next. "You are here to watch." The one making the move was First Elder, filled to the brim with seething rage. "This is the result of you impersonating the king. None of the people present are idiots. They've long noticed the abnormal relationship between this substitute and Qing Shui. Hence the reason why Ditsong would go to such lengths to deliberately aggravate the foe. Please, king. Please let Qing Shui go. She is innocent. This is all my idea. She has nothing to do with this." Squatting before the demon lord's leg, the person bangs that forehead hard against the floor, leaving it all bloodied and bleeding in the next. "Innocent?" Ditsong scoffed a sneer. "She tried to frame my wife. That alone is enough to punish her with death." The sentence was a death blow, sucking the remaining energy the substitute had left in those veins. "I clearly said I will handle everything. Why did Qing Shui come out in the open? Doesn't she know her actions are the same as seeking her own demise?" Done talking to the bastard responsible for impersonating himself, Ditsong now shifts his attention to the state teacher. "State teacher, you will go investigate the matter. I want to know where my wife landed after leaving the demon realm." Affirming with a cup of his hand, the charismatic man known promptly began to move. However, he didn't even make it 2 steps out the door when he bumped head first into a flushed figure that was rushing over. Sire. The newcomer didn't pay any attention to the individual whom he ran over. Instead, he squats there on the ground in the next second to face his lord and master. Based on that deathly pale complexion, it's obvious his soul suffered a great injury. Never give up on you, too. Brother, the demon princess exclaims at the sight. Isn't that one of your shadow guards? How did he suffer such a heavy injury? There shouldn't be anyone here that would hurt them. At this moment, everyone's attention had fallen onto the indicated person's body, and none of their faces were looking very good. It's too obvious the news wouldn't be good. Sire, we have failed the mission you gave us. Not daring to look up, the shadow guard hangs that head almost to the floor. Because of their clone being effectively killed by Xiaqin, the person here was extremely weak and could faint at any moment. If not for his absolute loyalty and urge to report the critical news to Ditsong, he would have lost consciousness like the rest of his comrades who went after Bai Yan's life. Mission? When have I given you any mission? All emotionless in his face, Ditsong raises an inquisitive eyebrow and asked, "Ha!" Stunned by that, the shadow guard then replied in earnest without leaving a single detail out. Sire, did you not send us on a mission to kill the queen? During the exchange, we could have killed her and retrieved the prince. But His Highness suddenly exploded with strength right after we inflicted a wound on the queen. That's why I'm here to report our failure. Kill the queen! Exploding with unbridled fury from within, Ditsong instantly stepped forward to make a grabbing hold around his subordinate's collar. What did you just say? Blinking at his lord's appearance, the shadow guard truly didn't know what's going on. Shivering all over, I'm sorry, my king. We are incompetent and couldn't kill the queen. Please punish us. Bang! Unable to endure another word of this, Ditsong directly slams his subordinate to the ground and actually left a huge crater from the impact blow. Blood now seeps out of the guard's mouth due to adding injury to injury. It wasn't just the demon lord here who's livid to the bone either. There were many others as well. Di Xiao one being the first and foremost. The demon princess only thought the substitute wanted to get rid of Bai Yan. She never expected him to send assassins after her sister-in-law. Impudent scoundrel! The second elder suddenly rushed up and slashed down at the substitute's shoulder with a knife he took out from the sleeve. Next moment, an arm now flies and blood sprayed the air, dyeing the senior's robe in the process. You not only used me while pretending to be the king, you also impersonated His Majesty's order and sent a death order for the queen. Even if we turn you to ash right now, it would still not satiate our anger for you and that whore. Due to the intensity of his emotions, trickles of tears ended up leaking out the corner of the senior's eye, indicating how humiliated and shameful this second elder felt. This is all my fault. If it weren't for me and my foolishness, then the queen and prince wouldn't have left. If they didn't leave, then none of this could have happened. Back over in the crater, the shadow guard still didn't know what's happening at first. However, as soon as he heard the cries from the elder, he immediately realized what he's done. In that second, it was as if the soul had been sucked out of that body. The previous king is a fake? In other words, the order to kill the queen didn't come from the king and is a lie. Scared to the point where he's shaking sweat, the shadow guard felt like his whole world's about to collapse. He knows, regardless of it being his unit's fault or not, the shadow guards would never again exist after today. Climbing up from the impact crater, he grovels before his lord and master to await the impending punishment. I've said it before, my wife comes first before me. Whoever dares to bring harm to her or violate her order will face only one ending, and that is death. Sure enough, Ditsong didn't care what reasons these people have. He only knows they've all harmed Bai Yan, and that's the only thing he needs. Never give up on you, 3. Sire, Her Highness also had us bring you a messenger. The shadow guard's tone was shaking hard to the point where he's sputtering. She said she will never forgive you in this life. She said, she will never forgive me in this life. Ha ha ha. Laughing wildly, Ditsong's very existence seems to be swelling up with power, forcing all of the people present to go silent with unease. I once said that while I am alive, I would always protect her. To think the ones to cause me to break that promise would be my own subordinates. Sorrow etched itself into every syllable there, showing how despairing and painfully hurt the man was inside. Brother? The princess stared foolishly at her older brother, unsure what to do after seeing the trickle of tears slowly coming down that cheek. Brother is crying? My brother, the one who never wavers or stands down under any circumstances, is crying? The girl felt very uncomfortable over this scene. She's never seen her older brother in this form. For that, she now resents everyone involved regardless of their intent. If it weren't for them being so blinded, then none of this would have happened. But brother, sister-in-law, and Shachin is still alive. They are alive, brother. I'm sure the two are still waiting for you to go get them. You mustn't lose hope. She won't forgive me. She will never forgive me. Closing his eyes that's red by this point, Deetsong deflates and hangs his head like a lost cause. That is not true. I know it. Once you find sister-in-law and explain everything, then I'm sure she would forgive you. Pursing those lips, Di Xiaowan lowers her tone into a soothing whisper. And, did you forget that she waited over 20 days for you despite hearing what the fake said? She must have been waiting to get an explanation. But since you never returned, that's why she left. It has to be said, though this sweet Dumbaklutz may be silly and foolish at times, her ability to say sweet and comforting things at the perfect timing was spot on. Looking up with hope in his face again, Deetsong grabs onto the last piece of straw laid before his eyes. Is that true? She really waited for me? She will believe in me? Of course, brother. I know sister-in-law would definitely come back to us if she learns the truth. Overjoyed at having her brother believe again, Di Xiaowan waited for the expected response. Then, just as she's starting to worry after getting none, that's when Deetsong's complexion grew extremely pale. The man clutched that chest like he's suffering immense pain. What's wrong with you, brother? Why are you looking so terrible? Startled by the change, the demon princess hurried to step forward in order to help support the man's crumbling body. Poof! But before the girl could help, Deetsong had already blocked her off with his hand. Taking a step backwards, that mouth suddenly spewed a mouthful of blood. Brother! The girl exclaimed with extreme fright in that voice. She doesn't understand what's happening, so she's very flustered at the moment. What's happening? Brother was just fine a few seconds ago. Why is he looking so weak all of a sudden? That's right. The girl could clearly sense the lifelessness in Deetsong's aura. The contract. It has been broken. The contract between me and Bai Yen has been broken. Painfully closing his eyes again, Deetsong knows his last hope in finding his wife was gone. If the contract remains, then he could have used the connection to locate his wife again after heading into the human world. But now, never give up on you for... Brother. The princess quietly murmurs her word, for the lifeless look in her brother was something she didn't expect or thought possible. Ha! Struggling to support himself, Deetsong eventually reaffirms his back after a brief moment. Bai Yen, you think just because you broke the connection between us that it's enough to leave me behind? I will find you again even if I have to search the ends of the world. Brother, you? Seeing how her brother's about to head for the outside from out of the blue, Di Xiaowan hastily follows suit out of worry. However, she was stopped as soon as she took a few steps. Thankfully, her speed wasn't that fast. Otherwise, she would have clashed directly into the man from behind with her clumsy nature. That woman from the snake family and this substitute. Deetsong's mouth curved into a sinister grin. I leave them to you for handling. Until my return, I want you to make sure they suffer until they wish they were dead. Scratching her nose, the princess responds with a nod like a good girl this time. And those of my shadow guards, I never want to see them again either. That part about dismissing his shadow guards came as no surprise to the princess. Di Xiaowan knew from the start that's bound to happen. As for Fire Plume, second elder and state teacher, Deetsong's voice now sounded gloomy and frustrated. When I come back with Bai Yen, she will handle them as she please. The one known as state teacher was a very special person in this place. Not only does he hold a superior position to all the rest within the demon realm, he's pretty much one of the few individuals who survived all the way back to the time where everything first began. Brother, are you going to search for sister-in-law now? Blinking her big curious eyes, Di Xiaowan didn't want to be left behind while things are a mess right now. Sadly, as usual, she's been left behind in the next, for that purplish and silvery figure was gone. Xiaowan, retracting his gaze from the direction where the king has left in, state teacher shifts his attention back to the one whom he cares for the most. I'm sorry. I know this incident is the result of my carelessness. Snorting at the one whom she has always been kind to, it's clear the princess still held a serious grudge by the way she ignores him and walked away. Xiaowan. Note. I don't know why, but something just clicked in my head and I realized Di Xiaowan means kings of the little clouds. I wonder why I never realized that. Too much translation pinions lately. Falling into a slight panic upon realizing he's in deep trouble this time, the charismatic man attempts to reach out and pull at the girl's sleeve. Though the act was immediately avoided with a quick step to the side, it did nevertheless stop the princess from further movement. What do you have to say? Despite having thousands of words in his throat in which he wants to say at this moment, he could not blurt anything out. In the end, all he could gather was a single sentence. I'm sorry. The one you wronged is not me, it's my sister-in-law and nephew. I know you meant well by creating a substitute, but why didn't you watch over that person and allowed him to cause havoc in the public? All watery in those big beautiful eyes, the flaring anger continues to burn. So, to punish you, I don't want to see you for the next 10 years. Dropping the explosive decision on her suitor, she then turns away without looking back for good this time. Oh, I'm so screwed. She is really angry at me this time. Why can't she just beat me instead of ignoring me? The poor man thought, feeling guilty all over. State teacher. The first elder spoke with a slight twitch in the corner of that mouth. The princess is only saying all this due to her momentary anger. I'm sure she would come around after everything calms down a bit and when the queen and prince return safely to us. Making a bittersweet shake of his head, the charismatic man thought otherwise. No, she is for real this time. She won't forgive me so easily. This? The first elder became speechless. After a good moment of silence, he eventually thought of something else to say. The princess always listens to the queen. If you can get Her Highness to speak on your behalf, then I'm sure it will turn out well. Towards this one who practically kept the demon realm in order after the king went into dormancy, First Elder always held him in high regards, hence the reason for the suggestion. As for the Second Elder, this bastard actually kept such a big mess from me. That's his own doing. He can't blame anyone for the consequences. Never give up on you. 5. What should I do, First Elder? Fire Plume asks with his leg shaking. You. The First Elder casts an almost cold and reprimanding look. Didn't His Majesty say it already? When Her Highness the Queen returns, she will be the one to decide your fate. However, since you didn't mean for such outcome on your own, the fault can't be entirely on you, so at least your life is saved. Gnashing his teeth, the Birdman immediately shifts his gaze over to Qing Shui, who caused all this. Against that miserable look of the snake demoness, Firebird felt an abnormal satisfaction over the picture despite his own circumstances. He's never been much of a sadist, but this time he wants the other side to burn and suffer as far as one could take it. If not for this blasted woman trying to get above her class, then none of this would have happened. Damn this bitch and her accomplice. Outside Fairy City, the gates are strong and unbreakable as usual, making the job of these two individuals in charge of guarding it all the more god-awfully boring. But then that soon changed when they saw the amazing figures slowly coming over to their spot. First was the dashing red female and the silvery fox in her arms. Then it was the little girl walking alongside with her hands holding the older woman. The two together could only be called the perfect image of an adorable daughter with a gorgeous mother. Queen, is it really such a good idea in not letting little Rice and sister Xiao Ying Tigress come along with us? Dragony asks with her big innocent eyes after seeing their destination. The little lass still hasn't forgotten the grieving face of the baby tiger when they left. There were plenty of crying and pleading. The only thing missing was the white tiger rolling on the floor throwing a tantrum. It's inconvenient to bring them along, that's why I had them stay behind. Besides, I have reasons for sending little Rice back to the Holy Land. Eyeing down at the little missy that's holding her own hand, Bai Yen sighs and spoke in a soft voice. And, I'm no longer the queen of the demon realm. You must change the way you address me. Staring with unsurety, the dragon girl didn't know what to do next. But then what should I call you then, queen? Stumped at the question herself as well, Bai Yen had to take a good moment to contemplate a proper solution. Call me mother from now on. After we go inside Fairy City and the Misty Fairy House, your identity is no longer a member of the Dragon Clan, you are my daughter, a human girl. It's not anything out of the ordinary for one to bring along a demon beast, but it's definitely a big deal to have one that could talk and take on human form, especially when the one here was a dragon. Yes, mother, Dragoni will listen to you. Giggling with joy in that voice, the little naive girl loved the new way she's addressing Bai Yen. Before they knew it, the girls have arrived outside the gateway where the guards are now getting a clear look at the new arrivals. You are Miss Bai Yen? The more experienced man recognizes her and spoke out. Nodding in return, I am looking for Wang Dachio. The Wang family are the official gatekeepers for the Misty Fairy House. Hence their exceptional status as the #1 household around these parts. However, instead of the solemn and grandeur expected of such a prestigious house, there's only racket and cries similar to a pig squealing. Oh damn it, Pops! I am your son. Stop hitting before you actually kill me. Talk about having energy in that voice. Even the air seems to ricochet from that cry for mercy. For the nosy bodies who were curious about the racket, they could see Wang Dachio running around inside the estate chasing his son with a cane in hand, constantly whipping that butt. You stinking brat! How dare you tease a good unmarried woman? How old are you to play with women? If I don't whip some senses into you this time, then I won't be Wang Dachio. After the roaring proclamation, the man once again ups the strength and speed in that hand. Yeah! The pig's squealing screams continues to rock the air, just that this time around the chubby somehow managed to find an abnormal level of strength to push his old man away when he took notice to the reddish-red female coming over. Never give up on you, 6. Save me, Sister Bai Yen. My old pops is trying to kill me. Bai Yen? Startled at first, Wang Dachio had to take a long look over to the indicated direction before confirming the truth of his son's word. Miss Bai Yen, how come you are here? Twitching in the corner of his mouth over the boy's crying face and clingy appearance, the middle-aged man has had to hand it to his son for being so deviously sneaky at sucking up to the female sex, making a mild smile of her own. I want to go to the Misty Fairy House, that's why I came. You want to go to the Misty Fairy House? That's easy to do. I will go talk to my father right away and send you over. All flattery in his tone, the middle-aged man completely transforms into a proper gentleman just like his boy. But before leaving though, Wang Dachio made sure to cast a warning glare to the chubby. It's the face of you better behave yourself. While I'm gone lest you want some more beating. Sister Bai Yen, after you and Xiachen stopped living next to our home, my pop's been beating me non-stop. Please take me away with you. Wiping that trickle of tear from his chubby face, Wang Xiaopeng puts on the appearance of a criminal trying to act innocent. Oh right. Where's boss? How come I don't see him with you? At the mention of the little steam bun, Bai Yan's hand instinctively tightened a bit over the little fox in her arms. Despite the slightly awkward mood, she nevertheless continues to smile warmly. He went back home. Oh, so Xiachen went home with his father? Wang Xiaopeng says it with realization. I wish boss was here though. I've been missing him a lot. Due to being so preoccupied with the new friend, the chubby actually didn't notice the slightly gloomy air around Bai Yan's body when he mentioned Ditsong. Sister Bai Yan, who is this little girl? Rubbing his hand together, the chubby smiles like a true pervert again. Of course, as any logical female, Dragoni would feel disturbed by that monkey face. This is my daughter whom I just took in. He's Xiachen's younger sister. Patting the girl's head, Bai Yan comforts the scared Missy with her gesture. Don't worry, Dragoni. He won't hurt you. Only at that did the Missy feel at ease to come forward. Even so, Dragoni never dared to cast an extra glance at the chubby, for she's afraid the extra attention would somehow attract the other side further. Then just as Wang Xiaopeng wanted to showcase his flirtatious ability at picking up girls, That's when a knock from above smacked him back to his senses. Stinking brat, you really are hopeless. Are you trying to tease the little missy here when I was just beating your butt? Looming down with his threatening glare, Wang Deqiu's appearance instantly shuts the boy up from furthermore trouble. Miss Bai Yan, shifting his attention to the woman now. My father is now waiting for you inside. Please come with me inside and I will lead you to him. Okay. Giving a gentle nod in return, Dragoni, let's go inside. Holding on to Bai Yan's hand like a proper daughter, Dragoni followed closely as they were led into the area where the teleportation altar lies. Because of how special the guests this time around was, the current chief of the Wang family had called in every elder he could within the near vicinity. Otherwise, the preparations alone would have taken days to complete. At the same time while this was all occurring, a man donning a white robe was currently watching this from above a mountain peak that's reached all the way up into the clouds. So she's gone to the misty fairy house? Clearer than the trickling water nearby, no discernible emotion could be sensed from that voice. Yes. The person behind him hesitated for a while before asking, Lord, why are you letting her go when you clearly can't forget her? It'd be easy to force that woman to stay instead of doing this. Those people will definitely. Humph? The godly-looking man huffs with displeasure. If it wasn't for those people, then she never would have left me to begin with. Never give up on you, Seven. Lord. The youth behind wanted to say something more but got snapped at. I have regretted it for so many years. Showing sadness in that perennially proud eye, the man's white robe sways heavily in accordance with that outburst. What does the world have to do with me? I made a terrible and irreparable mistake back then. I will never make the same again. I abandoned her once for what? For the sake of the celestial realm. I abandoned her. Gently closing his eyes, Chewy God reminisces the cheerful smile of that wondrous girl in his fading memory. Sadly, the image could only remain forever in his mind and never again see in reality. Returning to attention upon being stung by his own lost thought. Go back. I won't return to the celestial realm with you. But you are. The youth sounded anxious. I will no longer meddle with the celestial realm. In this life I only want her. The proud man rudely cuts in and made his statement, leaving no room for discussion. Yes, my lord. The youth lowers his head in compliance. But lord, where do you intend to go next? I am going to see Deetsong. The last part greatly shocks the youth. It can't be. Lord is going to see Deetsong? They fought so hard back then. Are they planning to turn the human world upside down this time around in their fighting? Not waiting for the worried body to ask for further details, Chewy God had already disappeared from the spot, leaving only a gusting brush of wind in his wake. Within a certain valley, a purplish figure had just materialized out of existence, allowing the man to firmly land on the ground. This smoothness immediately warrants a frown on Deetsong's face. Compared to the first time when he broke through the seal years ago, he's completely unharmed right now, whereas the last nearly crippled him for days on end. Is it because I now control the spell matrices pertaining to the barrier? Yen. The issue only lingered in that head for a brief while. He didn't want to keep fussing over the small details. This life, I will never give up on you. He makes this vow facing the sky, determined and unyielding in that sentence. Even if she stabs a knife in me, I will take it, so long she forgives me, anything will do. But then, just as the man's ready to depart in his search of his wife, something unexpected occurred. From within the void of blinding light in the sky, a handsome and unparalleled individual appears and confronts his long-time enemy, Deetsong. It's been a long time. Not to be intimidated, the demon lord openly sneered in return. When did we ever meet? Just because you forgot doesn't mean we haven't met. By this stage, the white-robed man has already reached Deetsong's spot. Between the purplish figure and the white contrasting aura, their existences were like opposing powers, evenly matched without any room for leniency. This fact immediately causes the demon lord to turn serious inside. In all the years he's lived, Deetsong could for without doubt say this newcomer had the powers to match his own. A worthy opponent. I only came today in order to tell you this. If you can't protect her, then let her go. I will protect her instead. Regarding the she in that sentence, Ditsong naturally knew who the stranger was referring to. Therefore, he's not going to let another comment like slide. Releasing his powers in full blast, everything around the pair trembled in fear. From the pebbles on the floor to the particles in the air, everything was shaking over their might. You have always been like this. As long as the matter concerns her, you will do anything.